Hi, Kim Possible. Hi, Chris. Welcome in. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Mila. I feel like I'm saying that right. Hi, AS. Hi, Lauren. If I said it wrong, will you correct me? Hi, user. A lot of numbers. Hi, Ophelia. Or Oplila. Tell me if I'm saying it wrong. Hi, Brittany. What?
User a lot of numbers. You say it all the time. You say it like that all the time.
Lolly. Okay, thank you so much. Wait, I feel like I knew that. I feel like you told me that before. I'm sorry. It'd be a lot of people. Hi, Marilyn. Hello, hello. Hi, Voshtix. Thank you so much, Chris. Hi, Tia. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi, London. I'm going to let a few people get in here, and then we're going to run through this Nick situation, y'all. I don't want to keep talking about it. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Hi, Antoinette. Hi, Landy. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. You know what? It's been good, Lolly. It's been pretty good. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying it, Mompy. Happy Sunday, Lambdy. Hi, Rose. Hi, Shika. You know what, Lambdy? It's so odd. Like, it still hasn't come back completely, but it is much better than it was. So I'm glad about that. Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Latoya. Yo, I want to talk about this Nick thing, and then I really want to let it go. I love y'all damn that are my followers and like are not shocked at all about like what I'm saying or like what I'm noticing. Like the fact that people are like, yeah, like duh, like of course Tina's gonna have this take. Hi, onesie dunsey. Hi, it's me. Like, of course I'm gonna notice it. I didn't say it meant anything necessarily. I'm noticing though. Yeah. Yeah. Like, that shouldn't be a shocker. I do that to everyone.
Every single person.
I do that to everybody. Hi, EXO. Hi, hi, hi. Like, I do that to everyone. That's not new. That's not new behavior on my part. And I love y'all that are like, yeah, we already know. Hi, Tay. I feel like that's right. Thank you all so much for the likes. Thank you so much. Jay from the block. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Latoya. Hi, Pink Calculator. Okay. I'm going to maybe rattle some things off. Hi, Destiny. If you have questions explicitly or things that you want me to talk about Nick, please drop it in the comments, y'all. I don't want to give this a bunch of time and energy. I'm going to be honest. Hi, Casey. Hi, Yvonne. I'm seeing a couple of like, thank you so much, AS. What, baby?
I'm trying to keep up with the questions.
Okay, thank you. I should probably get my notebook and write them down too. Hi, Birdie.
Where's it at?
I don't know. Hi, Nikisha. Hi, Londa. Hi, Patrice. Listen, like, hi, Rachel. I'm going to try to keep up with the comments or like the questions that y'all may have as we are going along about it. But there are some things I want to rattle off. Like, where do I want to start?
Is this the one?
Yeah, it is. Thank you, baby. Thank you, thank you. Okay. So I'm gonna tell y'all that, like, right, I literally showed y'all my timeline. I showed y'all what my FYP looks like. I don't see Love Island stuff. Thank you so much, Rachel. Hey, Latoya. Hi, sweet usernames. I don't see Love Island things. So to be fair, I have not seen takes that have been super crazy. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means I have not seen them. Okay. So when I am offering you all my perspective or like what I'm noticing, hi, Doreen, it's literally just based on the data that I have. And it's usually based on, hi, Nonchalant, the Islander themselves. I'm typically not formulating an opinion based on someone else's opinion about their behaviors. Does that make sense? Hi, Trini. So like, when I'm offering my insight, or I'm offering my take, or I'm offering what I'm observing, it's usually not influenced by anything else that I've seen from anybody else other than the islander themselves. Thank you so much, Motomoka. Cute. Hi, Remy, or hi, Rem. Hi, Tiana. Hello, hello, y'all. So I can tell that like my little throat chakra is so tired of talking about this. But I feel like I need to get it out. Onesie Dunsey, hi. I will answer that. Why was there an uproar? Well, Onesie Dunsey, because people are weird.
That's part of it.
Oh, I did say it right the first time. Okay, good. And I know that's reductive, but honestly, it's a little bit true, right? Hi, Shara. Hi, Shara. It's a little bit true, right? Is that people are just a little bit odd. And I've said this before about other islanders. Sometimes fans are not really fans, right? They think that they're fans, but it's something more than that, right? And so they perceive your behavior as like a reflection of them. What's the word? I don't even want to use it because it's so fucking overused, right? They see your behavior as a reflection of them. They see your wins as a reflection of them. Your losses as a reflection of them. And so the fact that he did something that they felt should have been done differently upset them. Because now they feel like they look crazy, right? Which, what I will give the fans, what I will give them is that his snap was a misstep. It was to mock the people. To me, that was like, no. Right? You didn't need to have that reaction, right? Because, and here's the thing, people are like, you know, he's young and he's learning. That is true. And Nick has a team. He's not like the rest of us, right? Hi, Alicia, that are learning just from living it, right? Like he does have a team, right? So I do think that was a misstep. He did, Sakura, right? I totally get that. I totally get that. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. I don't like fans jumping through hoops on either side. I don't believe in being dichotomous. I don't believe it has to be either or. I just am not that way, right? I'm very, okay, Maria, good. Did he delete it or expired? Oh, really, Londa? I didn't know. What happened? It doesn't have to be one or the other, right? So like people are like, this happened and now I have to, it's fuck Nick for life. I hate him. He's a horrible human. And I'm like, why are we doing that? Right? You can notice things without having to be so either or, right? Hi, Anika. Okay, Dahlia, thank you for saying that. Dahlia says, I was rewatching the snaps and suddenly they were gone, but everything else was there, so he definitely deleted. Thank you. It doesn't have to be extreme, right? And here's the thing. Oh my gosh, Londa, that's awful. Baby, I try to be very balanced, truly. And that's true too, Applesauce. He can't control what anybody else does, but he can control his own actions, right? We cannot make him be accountable for anybody else other than his own self. That's it. I'm not willing to hold him accountable about anybody else's behavior. This would be different. Oh no, Beanie, I literally just got on. This would be different, right? if, oh, thank you for that, Peppy. If it would be different if we were seeing like him use like his fan base loudly attacking people and him being like, I'm totally fine with that. I don't give a fuck, right? Then I would be like, babes, like, reel your fan base in. Oh, thank you so much, Gifty. I agree, Dahlia. So listen, let me get back to it. I think it was a misstep, which is what I said. I do think it was a misstep. I think it was a miscalculation on how people experience public figures. Thank you so much, Rachel. It was a miscalculation, right? What I think public figures have to realize is like, and I think that maybe this is hard because of the way that people are parasocial. But here, people have their own experience with Alan. People have their own experience with Alan. That's exactly what I'm about to get to, Nikisha. Oh, I will tell you, Janaya, people have their own experience with Alan that had nothing. Yes, he was saying what he was saying about Nick and Alandria, but that people were having their own experience about him based on his behavior. And so to think that people were only mad at him because of the impact it had to you, I'm going to say just him, because he's speaking only for himself, right? To think that that was all that it was about for people was a miscalculation on his part. And so to then say to the public, let's, and I know y'all are not stupid. All of the people that come into my lives are smart people. You get on my panels, you are very intelligent. I know that everybody knows that let's is a contraction for let us. So it was a public, all of us, let's move on, to make that request as though people only cared about what Alan did because of what you felt about it was a miscalculation. It was a misstep. Period. 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 And then people saying, right, you are that smart. And that's, listen, Franny, that's fine. That's fine. It still was a public request, period. It still was. That's, words mean things. I tell y'all that all the time, right? It still was a public request. And that was a misstep on his part. Mm-hmm. Period. He easily could have said, Ace apologized, I moved on. And I don't think it would have been a reaction, but I don't think that it would have been the same reaction, right? Because people are like, hold on. How you asking me to not care about, you understand? I know who he was talking to. The response is, it still was him talking to, he was speaking for more than just himself. He was speaking for, and that's okay. It's okay to notice that. It's okay to notice that. It's okay to notice that. Okay? Him saying, let's move on. Him dancing to the comment. That was a very public request for the public. Whether the public was just his subscribers, whether the public was just the people in his comments, it was still a request to the public to move on. That is public endorsement of, he apologized, y'all. Let's all let it go. And that was the misstep on his part. Period. It doesn't matter who he was directing it to, user. He should have only spoken for himself. He made a misstep by asking the public to do it because his presumption was that the public only felt how they felt because of him. That's not true. That's not true. So I'm glad that it's deleted now, right? But it was a misstep. And y'all, you can like people and still acknowledge that sometimes they misstep. It does not have to be either or. He does not have to be perfection in order for you to support him. He does not have to be perfection for you to support him. Because here's the thing. This misstep right? This misstep did not do harm to anyone. It didn't harm anybody directly. People's feelings may have gotten hurt about the way that he said it. I'm willing to acknowledge that, right? But it did not directly cause harm to someone, right? So it's okay to say, wow, I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that he did that. Right?
I said you meant that as an insult.
I mean, I think ultimately it's whatever, right? And so fan bases can feel embarrassed, but how do I say this kindly? The fan base needs to reevaluate the way that they are. Why are you saying what you're saying to Alan when you're saying what you're saying to Alan? Are you saying what you're saying to Alan only because you're trying to protect Nick or because you think there's something wrong with Alan's behaviors? That's why you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed because you thought you were protecting Nick instead of you realizing you just feel a way about Alan's behaviors. So now you're embarrassed because your fave said, actually, I'm not on that shit. So now you're out here embarrassed because you were protecting somebody you don't fucking know instead of just having an opinion about it on your own. No shade. No shade. Right? Because I can listen to Nick say what he said. I can listen to Nick say what he said as someone that has critiqued Alan, and I don't feel no type of way about it other than, oh, I'm noticing that. Why did you make that public? That's weird. Why do we need to know this? That's all I'm feeling about it. I ain't said fuck Nick. I ain't said throw that man away. I ain't said none of that shit, except that was a choice. Why'd you do that? That's weird. Because I'm always curious about motives. Why are you telling me this? Right? So you can have critiques about, because my critiques about Alan are not based on Nick and Alandria. My critiques about Alan are just about his behaviors, period. Right? Exactly. Feel the way you do about Ace based on yourself. So I don't want y'all being, I mean, obviously you're going to do whatever you want to do. You're going to do whatever you want to do because you're entitled to do that. Hi, Mia. You can do whatever you want to do. Okay? I don't want y'all being so black and white, though. Right? It doesn't have to be that you want to throw Nick away because of what he said. Nick is entitled to forgive that man if he wants to. The misstep was asking the public to also do it. Right? Let's move on. That was the misstep. He could have easily said, Ace apologized. I've moved on. I don't believe in holding grudges. He didn't even have to mention Ace apologized. He could have just said, I moved on for that. I don't believe in holding grudges. He could have said any number of things. He chose to say what he said, and he chose to dance to the song. Those were public requests. Hey, this is where I'm at with this. That was the misunderstanding. Is that he thought, simply based on where he was, that would move people, because unfortunately some people, they are moved by that. Do we want to throw Johnny away?
Yes.
Right? Here's the thing. Here's what I have not said in the video, but I'm going to say on my live. KK, who's spiraling, babe? Y'all just be saying anything. Sorry, y'all. The comments are moving fast. So if I'm missing your comment, I'm sorry. That's a great one, right? Lolly, I moved on. I don't hold grudges. Don't give negative comments about others. Could have been even better, right? Like, there were a multitude of ways that he could have said it. He worded it poorly. That was the mistake. That was the misstep. Period. Full stop. Who's even talking about them? Do you know? I don't even think that he needed to say their names, right? I don't even think he needed to say their names. He could have just said, y'all don't throw hate at anybody. Oh, Ace, that's a great question. Do you have good book or podcast recs for wanting to develop interpersonal communication / intimacy? I'll make a video. Will you inbox me, Ace? Because I'm not going to remember that question, but I'm happy to make a video for you about it. That's it. And you can notice it and move on. Right? Notice it and move on. That's it. Not Alan, get off the live. Applesauce user, I don't know. And so it's like, look, listen, just notice it about him, moved on. Adatola, someone did mention it and I did say that. I'm just talking to the people about how they can respond to this, right? Have we discussed that he apologized for even doing this on live? I think he realizes the miscalculation. I would hope so because, again, he has a team. He has a team, right? So somebody should be pulling his coattails and saying like, hold on. Maybe that's not the way that we say that, right? Maybe we word it differently, right? Yeah, people got to stop with the extremes. It doesn't need to be extreme. That's odd behavior, right? And I understand the crash out. And I always will appreciate someone being able to say, I've reflected. Can I say something else? Hold on. Him coming on to his live and publicly saying, my bad, y'all, I apologize, was a public apology. People are saying Alan doesn't like owe the public an apology. I want y'all to be for real. And I'm not trying to be an asshole when I want y'all to like really think about that comment. Because public figures and celebrities do shit all the time. That is not an offense directly to you as the public. But what do? Make public statements, make public apologies. Why? Because they need to be re-ingratiated to the public. So to say that the public is not owed anything is odd. If he wants the public's approval again. Hi, Tashina. That's just not even how it works. That's not how it works in real life. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how it works with any other celebrity. Why would it be different? And the thing is, right, like people are like, well, he didn't, I've seen this too, right? That's awful. Like, again, I don't believe in being extremes, right? Okay, let's go ahead and just mute you. You can hate from outside the club because you're a weirdo. Yeah, I already did it.
Because why are you here?
And the thing is, I don't even think that his apology, here's my perspective. Here's my perspective. I don't think that Alan needs to apologize to Olandria or to Nick in public. I don't think that's what needs to happen. I do think that that can be a private conversation. If Alan wants to regain the support of the public that have said we're going to step back, then what he needs to do is, I realize that I misspoke. You know, he needs to have some sort of statement where he addresses the public about the impact on the public. Because I had Black women on my live crying after that interview came out. I had Black women for 2 days, I think 2 or 3 days on my lives crying because, oh my God, that feels so familiar. To have loved and supported this person and then for them to act this way about a Black woman. It absolutely had an impact on the public. Yes, crying. It was traumatic for a lot of people. And so I actually don't find it weird, right? Because the reality is your body is going to remember the experience, right? And so it feels familiar. it was like, damn, I know that feeling. Damn, that sucks. Damn, that hurts my feelings. It was triggering for a lot of people. Oh, I just got on Mish, right? It was triggering for a lot of people. So if he, Ryan, a couple of people on my lives after the interview dropped. So if he wants to re-ingratiate himself to the public, there will have to be some recognizing around impact on the public. There will have to be some acknowledgement around it impacted the public, even if I didn't mean for it to. Frankie Beverly, the issue that I have, thank you, Nikki, Nike. I think I have 2 mods in here. The issue I have is that Ace didn't give Amaya the same grace he required a public apology. So I just, to me, that was the misstep. That was the miscalculation. I haven't talked about Alan explicitly. I don't know what I would need to talk about with Alan. Personally. Right? So, I will talk about the games. Yes. Okay, thank you, Amina. Here's the thing that I also don't want. Y'all need to be willing. Listen, you could do whatever the fuck you want to do. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. But here's the thing. If we believe that Nick, as fans, if we believe that Nick moved with intentionality even when he wasn't saying things out loud, because I remember after the interview, lots of people saying, oh, they didn't say nothing, but they did this together. They posted this together, like showing that they're moving on. They're about their bag. They're moving in silence. They're staying focused on us. Y'all wanted to let that be intentional, but y'all are not letting this be intentional. And I just want you to acknowledge that you can notice this about what happened. He has since apologized and said it was a miscalculation. So I wasn't crazy to say that. Or not said that it was a miscalculation. But he realizes that he shouldn't have done it at this point, right? So I don't think it was crazy for people to notice, hey, I don't think that he should have done that. Nick apparently went on live and said he was crashing out and that he was sorry. Right? He was sorry. He didn't realize or whatever. Y'all tell me, somebody came in here and said that on his live, he said that. Thank you, Ginger. He was apologizing for seeming like he was judging his own fans for defending him. His friend apologized for him too. Bebby, that's what I think. Alexandra, what Bebby responded to you is something that I think is very potentially going to happen. Hobo, what do I think his intentions were? I think that potentially he's going to be friends with... Thank you, Ginger. I think that potentially he's going to be friends with Alan again. Thank you. I think he absolutely wants to, like, please, enough of the dialogue about it. I think that absolutely is a motivation. I wouldn't be shocked by it. I wouldn't be shocked by it, y'all. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be shocked by it. Personally. I'm probably not, Ginger. I'm not sure why you're asking the question, how many of us made mistakes in our 20s, because plenty of us in here are, maybe you're new to this live, but we definitely do nuance. Nobody is saying that he can't make the misstep. We're just saying it was a misstep. It's not anything wrong with acknowledging that. Go to sleep, Ginger. It'll be on YouTube. What about Ola, though? That would be inconsiderate of his partner. I don't ever presume to know the conversations people are having in their relationships. I don't presume to know what conversations they've had. Right? If we get to 50K before I get off, I'm only going to do 2 hours. Yeah, I wouldn't presume that they are not having a conversation, right? But here's what I told y'all this about Alandria before the reunion. We don't know that diversity for shows. We don't know that, but we're also not going to just, I don't do conjecture. So I'm not going to throw something in just based on maybe this did or did not happen. And until she says it, I'm not going to necessarily, I'm not going to get on that boat. But also Nick doesn't speak for her, in my opinion. Nick doesn't speak for her. He speaks for himself. My presumption is not that I would presume that they have talked about it, but I told y'all before the reunion, I said Alandria strikes me as the type of girl where you need to make your own decisions. She doesn't strike me as the type of person that's going to like press a partner about how they should or should not move for her. Hi, Ann. Right? I don't think that even if she didn't want to be friends with him, I don't think that she would say, about a half an hour, Ann, I don't think she would say to Nick, don't be friends with him. She didn't do it with Taylor. Why would I think she would do that with anybody else? She literally said out of her own mouth, I'm not friends with him, but I'm cordial, right? So she's given me enough information for me to think that she's not that type of woman. She's not going to do that. And that's the thing, May. I do agree with that, May. I'm not going to read that comment out loud, but I do agree with that. So thank you, Ginger. I think she's that way in general. You know what I mean? And I said to y'all then, before the reunion, that is a skill that ultimately she will have to develop, right? Because she's told us enough information at this point for us to know a little bit about, how she moves, right? No. We're talking about user. We're talking about when the Taylor conversation was happening. She said it in an interview. That's not her friend. She knows that it's Nick's friend, blah, blah, blah. So do I think her wanting to be led by her man affects this? I will say this. Alandria already told, she's firstborn, eldest daughter. Thank you, Ginger. Right? And she's told us repeatedly, I know my worth. I'm not begging no man for nothing. You know what I'm saying? She's told us that. Okay. She also told us when it came to Taylor, right? That's not my friend. That's his friend, whatever, right? And was not having no reaction. So Alandria is primed. She told us, I consider everybody else's emotions before my own. I consider my impact on everybody. She's told us all of this. Hi, Gigi. Hi, The Blessing Report. Hi, Nisi Poo.
Hi.
What you doing?
I found your favorite cartoon.
You're watching it?
Yeah, I was watching it.
Yeah, it's thebomb.com, huh?
She's like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Wait, what?
It's the best. It's the best cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you more.
Your hair looks so pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who did it? Your auntie?
No, it's like a hairstylist.
Ooh, period. You went to the salon, girl.
She was my favorite.
Ooh, period. Okay, I love you. Oh. Okay. So she told us already, y'all. She primed us already that she considers everybody else. So she's not the girl that's going to do that. And I said to y'all before the reunion. said to y'all before the reunion that at some point, as a person, as a human, but definitely as a woman, right? Especially because of the type of relationship that she wants to have, that dynamic, what it can prime her for, she has to be willing to communicate her needs. She will have to learn that prioritization of herself does not necessarily mean harm to other people. That will be a lesson that she'll have to learn. And that it's not fair to expect your partner to read your mind, right? You need to be able to advocate for yourself. So I said that before the reunion. That still stands for me. When it comes to this scenario, I have no idea the conversations they've had. I have no idea how she feels about it. But if she does feel a way about it, she will need to be able to communicate that. Period. Right? And here's the thing. Here's what I said about Nick, right? Oh, thank you so much, Katney. We can acknowledge this was a misstep, right? That's true too, Beanie, baby. We can acknowledge that to make that request was a misstep, and that doesn't mean that you have to stop supporting him, because again, that misstep did not harm someone directly, right? We talked about the fans, right? But directly. It's crazy to me how many of you think being high conflict is a positive value. I don't know what you mean. Who said that? Who said that? That was an odd statement. I'm confused by it. Standing on business or she don't play. Why do you perceive that as high conflict? That would be the question I would ask you. Why does being assertive feel like high conflict? The American Dream about half an hour, to the point of not leaving room for reconciliation. Not everybody should be reconciled with. I'm curious why that feels like. I'm not going to be like super therapist mode right now, but I do want to push back, right? I want to push back a little bit, that having a boundary and having standards for what you engage with in relationships, whether they are platonic or romantic, and being able to assert that is not conflictual, right? And the reality is we wouldn't even be saying those things about a man. Oftentimes we perceive it as conflictual because it is a woman doing it, right? And deciding that someone has done something harmful enough to you that you don't want to be in a relationship with them anymore is not actually a negative thing. Not everybody needs to be reconciled with. Sometimes there isn't room for reconciliation, and that's okay. So back to my point about Nick, right? I don't think that misstep was something that like people need to be one or the other. Throw them away. I don't believe in throwing people away unless it is egregious. And it's like, okay, I can't make any room for that, right? So I believe that the reason why people saw Alan's situation as more than a misstep was because it actually did actively harm people. Right? Exactly. Low battery, high damage, and mindfulness. You learn how to notice without judgment. That's it right there, right? Like, that's it right there. Dialectical behavioral therapy. You can notice the feeling without having to do anything with it. You're just noticing. And that's a fantastic skill to develop. So when I said to y'all, I'm noticing, I'm taking note. It's going in my data bank. That's literally what I mean. I don't mean something other than what I said. How do you notice without judging? Well, you get curious about where that judgment is coming from, because again, it's all motivated by something, right? Why do I have that judgment? Is it because I have a similar situation or something I can draw to? Or so you want to get curious about where that is coming from and then determine whether or not that judgment needs to even be placed, right? So I'm noticing, okay? Oh, I love this little Maureen. I would say no. Is collecting data like holding it against someone? I would say no, because the point of collecting data is to form an opinion. That means that you're always open to new data. You should always be open to new information. And I say to y'all a lot, I reserve the right to change my mind. I reserve the right to get more information and to change my mind. Collecting data is just about noticing and saying, oh, now I have more information. Now I have more of a picture. Right? So I just, I wanted to come on. And I do think that, like, at least from what I've seen in my comments, I don't like, I don't engage with the other places, right? They're scary. I think that I'm seeing two things happen. I'm seeing people want to completely say, no, it was nothing wrong with what he did. Or I'm seeing people say, absolutely, throw him away. I can only support Alandria, right? I'm saying that maybe there's an opportunity to be in the middle a little bit and to wait. And ultimately, because the determining right or wrong is about what's happening for you, right? Not about what they did, but why am I noticing this thing? Why am I feeling this thing? That's what you're determining the right and wrong about. Or not even right and wrong, but like the appropriateness of it around, right? Maybe there's an opportunity to be in the middle a little bit about this, right? Maybe there's an opportunity to say, that's information, but it's not all the information. And I think that people have lots of valid critiques. I'm not here to say that you can't have those observations at all. People have said, yes, exactly. To say that you can't have those observations at all. People have said, yes, exactly. Exactly, she receives. For me, is this a pattern or is this a one-off? I do think that, yes, the American dream, potentially. But we don't know enough about how he's handling it to know whether or not that would happen. This is why it's only one piece of information. It's not a whole story. American Dream said, Tina, do you think Nick's way of handling these friends can cause her to have resentment towards him? We only have one piece of information. We don't have enough to know if that's going to happen. But if it is in a way that is not considering her, then absolutely, it could. But we don't have enough information to know that yet. We don't have, this is why it's literally just data. That's it, right? For me. Now, I know that some people have come into my comments and they're like, he didn't speak out publicly about this. He didn't speak out publicly about this. But he spoke out publicly about this, and that's a choice. And I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I feel like those are fair observations. And I'm just noticing, and I want to give it time, I would not be shocked by a friendship pop out, okay? I would not be shocked by that. Does it make him spineless? I don't know. I don't know enough of the details, right, to know if that's a true statement. I don't know enough to make a statement like that, in my opinion. In my opinion. I don't have enough information. Okay, we'll open up the panel. I don't have enough information for that. Okay? I would say, I hear y'all, right, about him not speaking out about the other things. I hear y'all about him choosing to intentionally speak out about this. And someone made a really good point. They were like, him speaking out publicly may have to do with the fact that Ace talked about him not publicly protecting him before, and maybe this is him signaling to Ace, I do have your back. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, right? Again, I would not be shocked by a friendship pop out. For me personally, that would be my change maker. For me personally. And not for the reasons that y'all probably think. Hi, Anika.
Hi.
And not for the reasons that y'all think. It would not be a change maker for me because, oh, he accepted an apology. Oh, this man talks so crazy about you. I don't care about that. Personally. The change maker for me, the reason it would be a change maker for me is because I believe some things about Alan as a person. And I believe that we are the company that we keep. So the way that I've seen Taylor engage, the way that I've seen Alan engage, if you can be friends with people like that, that is what would be the change maker for me. I don't care about him accepting the apology and then moving forward. Does that make sense? So for me, it would not be a change maker simply because of that. I think he's allowed to accept an apology and to move forward. To me, it's about who are the people that you choose to keep company with? And what might that mean about you as a person? Am I factoring in all the pressure that he's getting to make up with Alan? I think that Nick still gets to choose to do whatever he wants to do. Jim X Jim. Okay, games real quick. Yes, Johnny needs to go. Tyreek needs to go. I haven't seen any pressure. I don't know. I'm just responding to the question.
Tyreek, Kendall, and Johnny.
Adatola, do you feel this way about the fact that Ola and Nick both continue to be friends with Austin? I do. Josh, bye. I agree, Adatola. Get all the men out. Just listen. Just give me an island of women, okay? That's what I want. That's what I want.
Hi.
Hi, Gigi.
Hello,
Hi.
Tina. You sound good.
Good. Hey, Ann. Hey, Anika.
So here's the
Hey,
thing. To Period's point, I don't think Olandria is actually friends with Austin, and that's the only reason why I haven't made like any big moves as a fan. Y'all would never hear me publicly dog on y'all would never hear me publicly dog on any Black women. But I haven't like removed any support because I haven't seen a lot of like actual friendship stuff. What I see them doing is still resting in the nostalgia of the villa.
I definitely agree with that point because, especially with
Absolutely.
Gia, can you hear me?
Yes.
I feel like, especially with Alandra being pro back and that's her campaign, you can see how she doesn't necessarily post any other Islanders. So, as soon as they got out of the villa, I feel like people didn't notice how you could see Nick doing TikToks for everyone, but Alandra stayed in the Airbnb, and I think that was really revealing on how she felt in the media, especially knowing she's on Twitter. So Twitter is very engaged, so you get constant updates, and her friends are on Twitter. And I think people kind of assume because Nick does something, now they assume Alandra does it, which I think people should kind of like differentiate themselves because you can see Alandra doesn't post TikToks. She doesn't add people on Snapchat like Pepe and even Austin. Like she took pictures with Austin, but she never reposted that or commented on his Instagram replies when he commented something. So I think that's really revealing that Alandra is not showing public support to Austin because she understands what that means for the Black community and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay, Gigi, go ahead. You came off mute. Go ahead.
Oh, well, because I don't know if y'all know, but y'all, I'm infamous. I got clipped and I'm on the Twitterverse. So Listen, I love a good clipping, and I thought it was great. I just feel like this whole Nick situation, it's to and I think you've hit the nail on the head that we don't have enough data, and people are making large assumptions and drastic assumptions based on things that they see, and based on things that they see, and they don't do the work to scratch beneath the surface, and that just speaks to a bigger problem of lack of comprehension and like lack of research. So, but whatever, we're not going to get that's a bigger conversation. But I feel like there's so many I feel like that what happened was people waiting in the wings to jump on Nick for something. And what happens when you keep backing baby into a corner? Baby got teeth, baby bites back, and people realize Nick got teeth. And that's what happened. And I think it was another a mutual of mine, Star, who said it the best, where she said, I feel like Nick's reaction was kind of a surprise because he did it based off of the assumption that we knew that Alan apologized. And so it caught people off guard. So the way he handled it, I do believe could have been handled better. But people judging him for saying that Ace apologized, it's like he said, Ace apologized, let's move on. Never in these statements, and this is moving off of the premise that people have set up from the beginning that Nick is super intentional, and he's very careful about what he says and the words that he puts out there. This super intentional person that, people have said is so fake coded, never said he forgave him. He said he apologized, let's move on. So why can't people do that? And he did this in response to people literally dragging him and sending him DTs on Twitter to where he had to deactivate his account because he was at a work event and another DJ played a song that he danced to. Like, it's kind of like y'all are really, really, like, some people are getting super parasocial and just really dragging it. And it's like, okay, he recognizes that. To me, it's more plausible that he recognizes that they're going to operate in the same circles, because they both operate in the social media space. So they operate in the same circles. So rather than drag it out knowing this person has apologized, you move on and just be like, okay, it's cool. If for whatever reason we see a friendship develop from this, which I don't think that there will be, but if for whatever reason there is, I feel like at that point we have more data to be able to analyze and pivot. But at this point, taking him at face value, and he hasn't led us wrong thus far when we take him at face value. If you take him at face value, it is what it is. But people were so quick to jump on him and to be like, oh, we knew you were wrong. Free Ola, and sending him all kinds of DTs. Like, that's crazy. That's super bananas to me. Super bananas.
I feel that. I mean, I hear y'all in the comments too. I mean, I feel like y'all know where I land on it, right? Anyway, okay.
Definitely. Sorry to add on. I definitely agree. And I think, honestly, people, because Nick and Orlando are in a relationship, and Orlando got a lot of publicly her hate got addressed. I feel like a lot of people don't address Nick's hate because you can see he's very family focused, and people don't talk about how he got publicly doxxed and how people know where he lives, and especially because he loves his mom and sister, how that may have affected him, as well as his like political affiliation. And then even like people kind of forget about the 404 thing, how that may have affected him, especially because people every day talk about him on podcasts about how maybe he should have conversation with them. So I feel like people kind of like push aside how much he has to take, and so people didn't really expect him to kind of fight back, especially with the Ace thing, especially since there's emotional attachment to it. But he's probably like fed up. He's just like, bro, it's just a song. Like, it's really not that deep. Like, there's a whole bunch of other things that you guys could be talking about. But now that I'm trying to like progress my relationship with my woman, and we're long distance, and I haven't seen her in a while, now you guys want to like talk about how I don't deserve her. It's like, that's obviously a lot of stress. I feel like people don't consider what he has gone through as well, on top of also defending Olandria as her band, and also witnessing probably for the first time the effects of being Black, especially a Black woman in America, and having to see firsthand the George Floyd comment, her being hacked, how Huda reacted, and how the castmates reacted as well.
Let's go bottom. Anika, do you want to share your thoughts, please?
Yes, I was just about to say that I want to endorse what Gigi and Apple, I think is the name, I don't know, just said, but I also want to add another layer, which is somebody made a comment there just now saying that, him dancing to the song that Alan did is like rekindling a friendship. No, it's not. All it is him just doing a line in a song. You all have to understand these people have a shelf life with their fame, for want of a better term. All right. And right now it's what, 3 months after they left the villa? The iron is no longer hot, it's getting cold. The man wants to make money. He does not want to be dragging on the nonsense that has been happening. And you have to look at it from the perspective of, listen, he apologized, I've moved on, or let's move on, does not mean that we are going to be friends. It just means he apologized and he accepted the apology. And I just want to forget about all this mess, because this thing is too much and it's too distracting from what I really want to do, which is, at the end of the day, make some money. Yeah. So to me, I am at a loss in a sense as to what all this uproar is about. And I did a couple of videos about it because I'm like, what's the big deal? Somebody could apologize to you. That does not mean that you are going to reconcile with them and you'll be bosom buddies with them like it was before. The relationship has obviously changed. So yeah, that's my initial thing on it. I mean, I could see the point you made earlier, Tina, with regard to him involving other people who were offended, obviously, by what Ace did. So he could have said, I have accepted the apology, I have moved on, that's it. I could understand. I take that point. But for people to be going on and on about making assumptions about things that we don't have enough information on as yet is a bit much for me. And yeah, those are my initial thoughts for now.
Okay, I will say, just because I see y'all in the comments, my thing is, y'all, and I know I said this already. I know I said it on the video. I don't think it was on accident, right? Like, we're making choices, right? And y'all are talking to us about, and I see y'all in the comments saying, like, he's been doing this man's dance on the internet all week, or like at events or whatever. Like, I actually think that listen, I think that you can choose to be a fan of Nick and reconcile with the fact that, like, he might be soft launching a rekindling of that friendship for y'all. And that it is what it is. You know what I mean? Bernice, I can't, only because that's a great question. Can we start including comments in the YouTube live? I don't screen record the lives. I just download it from TikTok, and TikTok doesn't take it all. So it's like, I don't want us to be, I don't want to pretend just because it's Nick. Like, to me, I'm not going to give cover to him just because he is in a relationship with someone that I like. Right. Or that I've liked him. I think it's okay. I would be dishonest to say that I don't think that is intentional. Right. If it had been even just the one Snapchat, that would be different. Right. It would be different. And so, y'all know me well enough to know, right? Oh no, that I'm not going to excuse it, simply because he's with someone I like, or because I like him. I do think it was a choice, right? And that's okay. He's allowed to make the choice, but I also get to notice it and be like, I don't know, and I Mon, he is a man. He didn't think what Ace did was disrespectful to Black women. My thing is I've always said, or actually somebody came into my inbox and they were DMing me because they wanted to remain anonymous about their opinion about it. And I just told them, like, don't be shocked about, like, men, like, aligning with men. Like, that should never like shock you, unfortunately, And subscribers, I gave y'all a video about Taylor and Alan where I said, like, if manhood has the opportunity to show up in a room, it's going to show up. You know what I mean? And so don't ever be shocked by that. I think people need to come to a space of, are you going to be okay with it even if he is? And it's fine if you are. It's fine if you are. You know what I mean? But I also don't want us minimizing what happened. We can say, yes, he was triggered. Yes, he was responding back. He was clapping back. And if it had just been the one, I think that would be a stronger argument, right? But the fact that it's been more than that for longer than that, to me, is just we got to be willing to look at all the data, right? And take it in. It doesn't mean we have to make a decision, but we have to at least be honest about the data that we're getting. Sparkle, please go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Hello. Happy to chat with everybody. I think I might have a little bit of a differing opinion than some of the panel because I know it was mentioned earlier, and I do see the standpoint of he never explicitly said that he forgave Ace. I do think that a forgiveness was implied. And to me, it's not unreasonable and it's not surprising at all. I remember there was some party that they were at and they were all taking photos with the cast, and people were like, "Oh, you can tell that like he doesn't want to stand next to Brian and Pepe and Ace, and that he's so uncomfortable, and that Austin is his only friend, and that he's still beefing with Ace behind the scenes." I'm like, you guys, this does not make any sense. Both of these people know that it is more profitable and better for business and better for their careers for them to make up. So they're going to do that. And I'm not surprised about it. And to me, it just doesn't matter. If he becomes friends with Ace, if he forgives Ace, it doesn't matter. And the fact that it matters to so many people, to where people were like crashing out about it, I just think people really need to detach because we don't know them. We cannot control them. And it shouldn't matter to us on this level. I just think that, we cannot dig this deeply into what any of them are doing in their personal and private lives because we don't know everything and we don't need to know everything. I also think that people aren't really listening to all of the things that Nick is saying. There was a clip from his live where he was talking about Twitter and whether or not he would go back to Twitter. And he was like, why would I go back to Twitter? There's nothing for me there. And the implication was that there's no profit on Twitter, so he's not going to be there. These people are his coworkers. And it's better for business if they're all civil with one another and they know that. So that's what they're going to do. And people were saying, this is so, affecting him so severely, like turn your Snapchat comments off. And he was like, I'm not going to turn my comments off because then I can't get paid. Because again, this is a job. I don't know why people are so surprised about him being friends with Ace still. And I don't think anybody should care. It's not changing my opinions about Ace or anything that he has said and done. If they come out and they're posting videos together again, it's not going to move me. It's not going to bother me. It just kind of is what it is.
Thank you, Sparkle, for your thoughts. I think your opinion is not wholly different than mine. I will say that for me, it actually would matter. For me, listen, I say all the time, not every man is a grapist, but every grapist has a man friend probably. And so, not that I'm saying Alan is a grapist, right? But silence is violence. I'm sorry. So if you can get along with someone and be friends with someone that demonstrates certain behaviors, then to me, I then begin to feel like, oh, you must align in ways that don't align with me. And so for me, that would matter if they became friends again. I don't care about them. I don't care about him forgiving him. I don't care about him saying, let's dead it, let's move on. But becoming friends again would be a step for me that I would say, oh, I'm just going to pull back. You know what I mean?
Tina, I just wanted to ask Sparkle, what is her definition of friends? Because I think we need to be a bit clear on what's the difference between being cordial and what the definition of friend is. And I think that's where people are getting confused.
So for me, would I consider somebody that said things like that publicly about me as a friend? No, but I'm not a public figure. I don't make my money off of public perception. So I don't have the same kinds of standards that some people in that position might have. To me, I'm basing my evaluation on the things that Nick has said and done and who he considers friends. So that's why I'm saying it's not bothering me, because it doesn't surprise me. It's not necessarily the standard that I would personally operate on, but I'm not him. I don't live this type of life. I'm not an influencer. I don't need people to like me, to make a check. So.
Yeah, I love your insight, Sparkle. I would definitely say, I think similar to what Tina was saying, I think if Nick platforms for me personally, if Nick platforms Ace, so putting him on his Snapchat or TikTok, so gaining monetary value from him, yes, I would completely like block, and I would kind of, that would set the tone for me for Nick, for him to probably do. It's okay if you like, you know, like to put him on a platform and gain money from that and be business partners in a sense. It really tells a lot who you're shaking hands with, and I don't know. It would be the hugest ick for me personally. Sorry to attach emotion to that, but that's it.
I think that you're entitled to do that, right? Like, again, people, listen, I get it. Like, these people were on a reality TV show, and so people feel like, oh, you shouldn't have opinions that are like this deep. But it's no different than any other celebrity. You can give and pull support as you choose based on how you feel about that person, right? It's totally fine. That's totally normal. There are some people that people love that I have not supported for decades. Well, over a decade at least. No, yeah, like decades. So like, it's totally fine. It's totally fine to feel that way. Okay, someone asked me about Nick dancing multiple times to the song. Those of y'all that posted that in the comments, can you please answer that directly? Yeah, you have every right to pull support. You have every right to say, oh, that doesn't align with me, and so I'm not fucking with it, and that's okay. User, are you asking, hi chocolate lover, are you asking about people not wanting to support if they become friends based? Are you asking, are people basing that on post villa interview or in the villa? Is that what you're asking? I just want to be clear.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay. Will you just ask it out loud since you're up here?
Well, that's not the main thing that I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted clarification from people if that was based on everything that he said in the Speedy interview, which I didn't agree with, versus, what he's done in the villa.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I think it's, for me personally, it's a collection. First, I saw his personality through the show, and then once he did that was cool. But like Tina was saying, I was emotionally, like that podcast he dropped, I cried about it because I put myself in Alandria's shoes as a Black woman and experiencing that betrayal. So that cemented it for me. I gave him the benefit of the doubt initially throughout the show, but for him to do that, it cemented a lot of ideas. And I think what's going to cement it even more for me is how him and Ace interact, especially with Pepe insinuating that there's going to be a basketball game happening very soon. So we'll see.
I would say for me too, user, that I will say that I have always had an opinion about Alan. Everybody that has ever interacted with me knows that I have had an opinion about him since he was first ever in the villa. I called him the Energizer Bunny. He was just a little too giddy about some things, and I had some opinions about it, right? And for me, I let things ride because I'm like, it's an edited show, whatever. I am getting information. But once he went onto the podcast, that is what cemented it for me. It's like, okay, no, this is just like how he's moving right now. I have always said, and I stand by, even though I know this like bothers people, I stand by the fact that he's 23, and I do believe he has the ability to change if he is able to identify that it needs to change and wants to change. But who he is right now today, yes, I'm not fucking with it. User, I know that you're up here though, so it's your turn. I want you to give us your thoughts.
Okay. My thoughts. I think that he being Nick did exactly what he wanted to do in this situation. I think that he got the exact outcome he wanted, which is people saying, okay, I'm no longer going to be telling him what to do. This is not what he wants, so I'm backing off. While still his, I guess, reconciliation later by saying, oh yeah, I was just in a bad headspace, still keeps his fans sweet towards him. And I think that he's very smart, very socially smart. And he understands how to like show people, look, don't mess with me, back off, while still being able to maintain a positive, I guess, adoration from fans. I'm not saying it in a manipulative way, but I think he knows how to effectively communicate what he wants. And I think he actually got the desired outcome, because there are a lot of people who were really honestly, I mean, people would say the whole Sims character thing, really think that they can tell him who he needs to be around. You know, this one is not good for you. You need to watch out. Because I saw the buildup when initially I think it was Pepe he was hanging out with, and people started saying that he said all of this negative stuff towards him, or maybe it was someone else, maybe it was JD. And, you know, he responded to the fans by saying, look, I didn't hear anything. I don't have proof. So y'all need to back off. And I could see that he was getting more and more agitated because he seems to be someone who enjoys the socializing with his male friends. And the fact that he was getting restricted, I could tell he was getting super irritated by that. And he does not want to be restricted in who he can socialize with. And I think he did the exact perfect thing to get the outcome that he wants, which is to say, if you go as extreme as possible, which is kind of show that you have potential to be friends with the person who people hate for you the most, then everyone in between is not, not going to, cause as much of a, uproar. So he basically communicated exactly what he wanted to do. And I think it was all on purpose.
Yeah. Listen, I appreciate your thoughts, user. Someone asked, what if Nick is doing the same and giving Alan the room to grow? Here's the thing though, right? I'm saying that while also taking a step back as a fan. You can allow people the room to grow without being in active relationship with them, right? Which is why I said, and I don't know that they're in active relationship, right? Which is why I've said it's just data. If an active relationship became obvious to me, then I would have a different assessment. You know what I mean? I didn't say that, Luna. So I literally actually just said something different than that, right? So I would have a different assessment if that became obvious to me, right? Right now, what I'm saying is I think Alan can grow. Luna, I didn't say that. I want you to use all of your listening ears. I'm giving
Just point out something before it's not my time. There was another angle where he requested that song, the A song. So people saying that, oh, it was another DJ, it just happened to be on. He was talking with the DJ about putting that song on before it came on. So I feel like he's been trying to soft launch this for a little bit. And TJ sort of, I don't know what's his name, Pepe sort of implied that there was something coming up with the guys. And I think he just wanted to dead that before that comes up. So
I think that's a great point. I haven't seen the other video, user, but I think that's a great point that, like, again, I'm never shocked by male allegiance to other men. Like, I to A's point, why would the DJ randomly play it? I literally said to Chris, my husband, I was like, if somebody played that song in the fucking club, I would be so fucking mad. So I felt like the DJ was either being petty, like you're being messy and petty, but like who even just has Ace's song like on go like that? I'm sorry, no shade, but like for real.
Yes, it's not even a real song, so he had to request, and I did see that angle. And I love users' point of view. I'm so sorry. It's not even on Spotify. Like, come on, let's be for real. I think. Like, come on. But yes, he is.
Doesn't make
I
any
think I'm just gonna say this. I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm not trying to say I predict anything, but if he does hard launch that relationship with Ace, I'm interested to see how the Nicklandria fan base is, especially, and how that will affect Nick. Will he lose a lot of followers, or will that give him the chance to now his more white leaning followers or his more only Nick followers to rise up, and how that will potentially affect his relationship, especially seeing how we see the girls interact in the club. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, listen, I think that my prediction, based on the comments that I've seen, my prediction is that a lot of people are immediately going to unfollow, not fuck with him no more, because a lot of people are kind of like jumping through hoops to say that it's not that, because I think that they're afraid that if they get up to that line of maybe it is that, then what would I have to do as a fan? And so they're wanting to argue that it can't possibly be that, right? Because that feels uncomfortable. And so I do think if it happens, that a lot of people are going to be like, I'm not fucking with him. You know what I mean? Which is their right. Totally able to like make that choice. I also would, like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. I agree, I agree. So yeah, That's my thought about that. But yeah, again, I think he can make space. I think he can make space for Alan to grow without a rekindling of the friendship. So again, that's why I'm not saying that the relationship has been rekindled. What I'm saying is I wouldn't be shocked by that, and that this is information, right? This is information. The Snapchat is data, right? And so if that's where it stays, then okay, yeah, maybe he's just like making the space for him to grow, but he's still cool on him. But I would not be shocked for a second if it's more than that. Somebody asked, did Nick maybe accept it for Alandria's sake? Like maybe Alandria wants to still be friends with Shelly, and so Nick maybe is accepting for the sake of them having a cordial relationship. I mean, I feel like that's like a stretch. We don't have any information to make us feel like that is true right now. That would just be like, and I'm not just in the business of like kind of guessing. I like to use the information I have to draw conclusions, but that just feels like a really big guess. And so that to me is not something that I would jump to. Okay, Anne, please give us your thoughts, friend.
Hello, y'all. I've been catching up with Dancing with the Star. What a great season so far. Also, Tina, I'm glad your voice is better. Hey, Chris. What do I need to say? I think the whole friendship thing, honestly, I'm gonna be in agreement with some of the online discourse I've been seeing here on TikTok that Alan should have had a public apology the way he was disrespectful in public. But then again, I did see a creator say like some of y'all will never be satisfied. We would have critiqued him if he would have apologized in public. We've been like, is this genuine, or does he want to be, friends with them based on their social capital? Which is still like my thought. Like, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I always thought that Alan would come back and apologize, but not in the way you think. I think he'd apologize. I'm like Tina. I have hope that he's able to grow, and that maybe his siblings may have given him critique and been like, "You messed up." And the social capital that he gained from, it's not just Nick Landry being the brand. It was the Core Four being a brand, and him possibly ruining Shalandria, which is Olandria's friendship with Shelly. I did see someone in your comments say, and I wanted to pose this question to you guys: do you think that Shalandria are friends, but they're keeping it private because they don't want people to know? And that could be entirely possible. But that's one of the reasons.
Real quick, Anne.
Oh, okay.
She didn't say that. She didn't say that. What she's saying is maybe this has happened. Like maybe these are the things that have led to the things. And to someone else's comment that said, we would be upset even if then that's literally what Anne said. So I just, listen to all the words that she's saying. She literally said that some people still may not be okay with it. So she did acknowledge that already. Okay, go ahead, Anne. Sorry.
In season 7, there's just a lot of parasocial things going on in terms of like the fans, and they just ride at dawn for all of their people. And I think that even like Shelly fans were going a little bit, not Shelly fans, but Olandria fans were going a little bit crazy because it seemed like Jessie Woo may have sided with Shelly because she's Haitian. I'm also Haitian, but I'm not one of these people. I'm not going to side with you just because we happen to have cultural things in common. Like, okay, so me and Tina are both black. If Tina's wrong, I'm gonna take these words from Tina. I'm an equal opportunity baddie, something like that. Yes,
Accountability baddie.
Equal accountability baddie. That means like I'm gonna hold you accountable even if I'm your friend, even though we're both black people. Like I can't support your rights and your wrongs because if you're wrong, you're wrong. Jessie Woo clearly did know they're Haitian, so yeah, because on a live with Blue, I saw Jessie kind of like standing up for Ace a little bit, like, oh, he was doing this and he was doing that. I'm like, Here's the thing. I think that Ace has room for growth, so we'll see about that. And then I do think that if he has the ability to self-reflect, he'll realize that he ruined his own bag by doing what he did. And I think that may have been the motivation for him to apologize. But to do it behind closed doors tells me, I don't know. To me, just my opinion, I think it's a bit cowardice because if you're gonna come out in public and make such a huge splash like that, then you should be able to have enough courage to apologize in public. And regardless of what our thoughts are on it, like just because you want your friend back. But regardless, in the Pepe interview, Pepe is just acting like this is a Love Island drama. Sir, wake up. I don't know what's going on, but you're no longer on the island or the villa, whatever you want to call it. This is real life. It's not just drama. People can't just get back together just because. Also, we know Pepe is a Eurocentric Latino. So he kind of leans into his whiteness. He not kind of, he does lean into his whiteness. So I think he wants to keep it cool with everybody again because Pepe will benefit from the social capital. One of the things I think they talked about in the interview is how hard it is to assimilate back to regular life with all this celebrity. I get that. I get how hard it is to assimilate. You said that he definitely called Amaya out at the reunion for apologizing in private. What do you mean, Amaya apologized in private? We saw her apologize the night that he got eliminated. She was like, "Hey, I'm sorry," like it was also public, even though if she may have apologized to Ace in private. Also, shout out to Tina for dispelling the comparisons between what's these two, Nicola and Amaya. The only thing I see that these two have in common, Nicola is more emotionally mature. The only thing they have in common is maybe their quirkiness. However, Amaya was more infantilizing herself, and turns out it was all an act, and I fell for it. And in terms of like Brian standing up for her, all he did was use her culture as an excuse to be like, "Oh, she's just a spicy Latina. You know how we are." Cut it out because there'll be no excuse for black women. And you know what, Peacock? Count your days. You're lucky I'm a Bravo fan. I would have canceled your asses. How dare you try to make her seem like the angry black woman? Also, Kendall, I'm coming for your Latina ass. Clearly, you don't like your blackness either because the way you talk to Garby and Garby, girl, get it together. Because I thought Garby had almost seen the light, but then she's like, "I still choose you." I said, "Oh no, Garby, no." Why? Anyway, I look forward to this episode tonight. I just saw the preview. I couldn't watch it while I'm on the phone with y'all, but I looked on YouTube. What? There's a double duel. We'll see who gets eliminated. It's looking like probably a double elimination, boy or girl, boy and girl. We'll see what happens. All right, toodles.
Thank you, Anne. Okay, I'm gonna rotate out because I have folks that want to come in. So I will use our sparkle applesauce. Anika, I'll lead Gigi and Anne up since they're subs, but I want to go ahead and rotate in some people. But y'all, oh, I love y'all deeply. I be trying not to be an asshole. I swear. I work very hard not to be an asshole on this platform. Okay. And please don't come in here leaving comments if you are brand new to the chat and you have no idea what we're talking about. I want you to just sit for a minute and listen so that you can make fully informed comments in here. Okay. Okay.
Can I say one thing before I leave?
Yes, please do.
I just think, there are a lot of people who are saying that Nick is very naive and those things. And I think that maybe there is an aspect of that, but it could just be that it's not what he values right now. He's making a conscious choice to value fun with his friends, fun with his boys as a 24-year-old over whatever potential conflict that could arise from being around someone who's not that trustworthy. I'm sure that perhaps he doesn't trust Ace at all or any of these guys around him, or doesn't have full trust in them, but he is choosing, not because he's naive, but because it's a choice. He's choosing to take that risk because he values having fun with his friends because he's a young 24-year-old boy. I mean, so.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, user. I would also say this, right, is like, that's like you said, like that's normal, like 24-year-old boy behavior. Like he told us he was looking for someone to like travel the world with. Like he was gonna have a whole kid because he wanted a travel buddy. Like, he's young, and so I do think that the relationships are very important to him. And so I just want people to MJ, I don't disagree with that there's a level of like I don't have to see that, right? I don't have to see that, right? Because it doesn't impact me the same way. So
Yeah, I love users take as well. I think we also have to understand that Nick is kind of shifting career paths as well. So now he's becoming, even Alandria, all the islanders actually, they're shifting paths. So no longer are they the regular people, but they're now shifting that. Now their life is how they make money. And so I think a lot of people connected to them because they're relatable, but we have to understand that relatability is now a marketing scheme. It's not marketing that they're not capitalizing on it. And so maybe they prioritize maybe the larger payout for certain things or being friends with those people for that certain brand opportunity. And so I think as a fan we have to begin to consider, does that align, can I kind of sacrifice my morals and values and being a fan with that person?
It's a choice.
Even though, yeah, and it's a choice, and I think it's crazy. But to kind of respond to you, I don't think Solandria is a thing any longer, and I know that's crazy for me to say, but the way that Alandria kind of values her female friendships and the friends that she has on the island and how what they have posted as a reflection of her after post Villa, I think Shelly and Alandria are not friends, and you can see that with the way that they originally had the same stylist, and now they don't have the same stylist anymore, especially when they were in the same fashion week, and how that may be a reflection of their friendship, and just even how they interact. They no longer interact with posts together, and even that they're not even in the same circle or the same areas. And I don't know. I think it's really revealing, and I think a lot of people wanted to group them together because they're two Black women. But I think fundamentally they had different values, especially you can see how Shelly was pre-Villa and how Alandria was pre-Villa.
Yeah. I think someone else mentioned in here, hi, quiet thoughts. Someone else mentioned in here, and I agree, right? That like Nick made a very like public post, obviously, right? He posted it to the internet for all sorts of reasons. And the result was an endorsement in some ways of public forgiveness for Alan because he had apologized and he's ready for everybody to move on. Here's the thing about that. When Alan was asked about this whole debacle again, he very explicitly said that he wanted to move on, that he didn't want to talk about it anymore, right? And so when Alan had the opportunity to acknowledge his misstep, to say, you know what, I've reconciled things are different now. He chose not to do that. And so for Nick to make a public statement was just, again, I think Nick doesn't realize maybe the ways in which he's being played. And that's unfortunate as well. And I do want, and he also said he stands by what he said. Listen, so I do think that I don't think it's naive. I know somebody was like, is it naivete because they're young, right? And they are, is that not the naivete of it? I would say that you're not necessarily naive simply because you're young. I do think that we have to acknowledge, and it's, again, Nick is making choices. And that's whatever, right? You can feel, that can mean whatever it means to you. But I don't want us infantilizing him. He's 24, closer to 25, right? I've seen people calling Nick a kid, which is like a child, which is very interesting to me, considering the way that we adultify Black people. So that actually is very interesting to me, that people are doing that about Nick. You know what I mean? And that is a choice as well. He is much closer to 25 than he is to being a child. And so I need you to just, more than what you can hold the man accountable about what he did. It doesn't mean you have to be like, fuck him. You don't have to throw him away because of it, but don't lie about what he's doing either. You know what I mean? Okay. And that's the other thing, unsystematic. I will say that as well too. Alandria has not said anything. I need people to stop seeing these women as an extension of these men. They are their own autonomous people with their own opinions and values and morals and ethics about how they move through the world. What Nick said ain't got shit to do with Alandria. Okay? The same way Alan's interview didn't have shit to do with Michelle for me, right? It was like, girl, that's your man. And then, but I still wasn't like, I'm backing up until it was other things. It was like, okay, now I got to be like, you know what? Let me take a step back, girl. Cause, I don't know about that. Right. But like, these women are independent of these men. Okay. They're their own autonomous people. All right. In a live earlier, people were literally crying over Nick's emotions. I had to leave that room. I think that there is a way to have empathy about the impact on these people because they are people, right? There's a way to have empathy around that. but it's also about the way that you're having the conversation. Are you having the conversation in a way where you're dogging the shit out of these people? Because that's weird, right? Like, again, you can say these behaviors are whack. I'm not fucking with it. I'm not fucking with them. You don't have to dog the shit out of them to do that, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. It's just there. It's interesting. Like I say all the time, reality TV is a social experiment, but not just on the people on the show, also on the viewers. And so it's very interesting to watch in real time. Okay, let me bring up the rest of the people that are coming onto the panel, and then I will continue to rotate out. I do want us to talk about Love Island Games, y'all.
I need that screens.
Chris says tap the screens. We're only going to be on for a little bit longer. Yes, almost 300 people in here. Hi,
Y'all,
Nikki.
please tap the screen. You're in the Tinaverse. Just so you know, it is Sunday. It is the Tinaverse. Tap this screen. Y'all have fingers because y'all scrolled here. So use those fingers wisely and start tapping the screen. Let's see. There's no reason why we shouldn't be at 100K by now. No reason.
None at all. None at all. And here's the thing. Listen, y'all, I could under it. How do I want to say this? People crying about Nick's emotions. I will say this. I could understand them being like, wow, I also was internet bullied and I can only imagine how he feels, and that makes me sad because I'm thinking about my own experience, right? But that's really about their own experience that they're just seeing personified through Nick right now. To cry on Nick's behalf might be a little bit far, right? Well, Jim, I guess he's saying or demonstrating to people. I don't know, y'all, because I really don't be keeping up like that. I'm so serious when I say it, right? That his mental health is like taking a hit. I will say, to y'all's point about men, I tell y'all all the time, but I'm biased toward the girlies, and I don't care. It is what it is. You feel me? So yeah, I would personally never, just personally, right?
Can I say real quick? So I was in a live where someone was crying, and it wasn't because of Nick's mental health. It wasn't because they were crying on Nick's behalf. It was because of the disgusting vitriol that surrounded this and how they treat Nick like he's an accessory to Alandria, and that he's not an autonomous human being, and that because he doesn't march to the beat of their drum, they have used it as an excuse to spew this disgusting vitriol. That is what their crying was about, because this person, well, at least the person I was in the live in, we call her Noelle full of grace because Noelle's always talking about give somebody some grace. But that's what that was. And that's what the tears were. And I feel like people have become so accustomed to, and not in this sense, because I do feel like, you know, I like you, Tina, I'm very much, I don't give a fuck. But in this sense, it was the dehumanizing of him and the saying the things, and that's what it was. It wasn't, oh my God, woe is Nick. It was, oh my God, what is wrong with you people?
That I understand. That I understand. Listen, y'all are gonna be mad, but that I understand, right? Because that's less about, how can I explain the way that makes sense to people?
See the asshole. Be the asshole, Tina, please. Embody the asshole.
I would say this, listen, if you were, so I'll mention watermelon people. I would completely understand you having tears about that, right? Because you are watching people be so violently redacted, attacked, right? And to watch people doing this to other people, I can understand that feeling of like, oh my God, where is your humanity? That makes sense to me, actually. And I will say that I know somebody said like they haven't seen people doing it for Alandria, but that actually is not true. That definitely happened in my life, at least in mine.
Absolutely.
And so I could see people being disturbed around like, damn, where's y'all's humanity? Like, you're going too far, because some people do go too fucking far right? Sending redaction threats, being like, undo yourself, delete, like that shit is, you're doing too much. Why would you do that to a barrage? You know what I'm saying? And so I will say that I see why that would impact people in that way. Because it is emotionally draining and taxing to even witness, right? This is why y'all see things like violence against people that you don't know, but it gets posted to the internet or whatever, and you have a reaction, even though you don't know those people, because you're watching something that is violent happening to these people, and that feels so heartbreaking to witness. You're connected to your empathy and your humanity in that way. So that I do understand 100%. Okay, let's go top down because we have new people on the panel. Star, will you please give us your thoughts?
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was on Nick's live yesterday, and I think like one thing that stood out too was just like I think someone asked if he could fight, and he was like not against 8 billion people. So I definitely see like all the vitriol that's, going towards him, and it's unfortunate, because they're all human at the end of the day and whatnot. I think when it comes to the apology from Alan, I wouldn't even say it's more so towards like whatever he said towards Nick. I think it's what Alan did towards Orlandria. You chose a podcast which you knew he spoke negatively about her, and you were very calculated in doing that. She was with you the day or two before, which you could have had a discussion with her, but you chose not to. You also didn't do it prior to the reunion, because that would have been brought up. You had all this animosity towards Amaya for doing the podcast and saying something, then speaking to you immediately privately, about that, and you didn't want that. And then you insinuated, oh, you guys know what Alandria's type is, insinuating that she's not into Nick. Then you also insinuated that Nick was only fetishizing Orlandria when there was clear evidence of what he discussed with you after, so there was like a lot of tactics that he did. And in addition to that, after the interview, you showed Speedy something to try to put a nail in that coffin. And you didn't care. He didn't care. He thought that people was going to attack Nick, maybe not Orlandria, but I don't know, they go together, because even though you kept saying you love her, or that's your girl, whatever it is, you said a lot of things towards her to try to twist people's perception of them as a whole. And when it didn't pan out your way, you went in hiding again. Then when it was brought to you so you could clear things up, you still stood 10 toes down and was like, oh, well, he still stand by what he said, but maybe he could have said it different. I don't know, whatever the crap he said, but he still was standing by it. And so for him to apologize privately, even with all this discord taking place and Shelly being thrown in the loop, and you have yet to say anything yet again, I think next time he's just waiting to be more calculated with his attack. This time it was miscalculated, but next time he will be more calculated, because he hasn't said anything. So all he could do is deny it. If something happens and you want to throw them in the fire again, Nick and I had a conversation, but I still stand 10 toes down in what I said, because he never admitted to anything and he's still going about his business. So I think it's more so, I think people have the attachment towards Alandria. I know, which I do, because I feel like she's just alone and people have been attacking her left and right. Guys are one thing and they get over it or whatever, but it just seems like people keep coming for her and then be like, oh, but I love Alandria. Do you? So that's kind of how I feel in regards to that, and it's unfortunate how things are playing out, and I don't think hate needs to go towards them. I just, again, unfollow those I don't care to to know much about, and just continue to support the others and stuff like that, and put my support there, my energy and support there.
That makes sense. I agree. I'm the same way. Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Star, for your thoughts. Somebody asked that you make a video with the rundown because they need that timeline of events to remind themselves.
I will.
Okay, Mindful as Fuck, will you please give us your thoughts?
Hi, Tina. Hi, everyone. Hi, Gigi. I haven't seen you in a while, by the way. Where have you been?
Listen, I
Anyway.
disconnected from the internet
I
to
noticed.
touch grass.
You did touch grass very well. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly say this, okay? I respect Nick for choosing to accept Alan's apology. Okay, I think he's always shown that he's a good person, and he's not someone. Obviously he's not the kind of person that holds a grudge. But I think the sticking point for me is I think, and for a lot of fans, not for me personally, because right now I'm choosing not to care. I think a lot of fans, aside from the people that will always look for a reason to hate Nick, aside from those, I think the sticking point is the let's move on tone for me. It's like many fans who defended Nick when Alan messed up felt brushed. I would assume they felt brushed aside. Like, private forgiveness can be immediate, okay? It's between guys. But public forgiveness would usually take time. And especially when the public have determined Alan to actually, they've seen a change in behavior and he has taken accountability. I think kind of asking the fans to say, hey, let's move on, without the fans themselves haven't seen Alan take any sort of accountability, and it's just simply brushing it aside. I think it's kind of like asking too much of the public. We should all touch grass, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. And I think by speaking up the way he did, Nick unintentionally stood in front of the anger that wasn't aimed at him, even though his intent was good. My only concern, like, forget the guys will be guys and all that bullshit. My only concern is the women in the conversation and how that optics land. If Nick publicly reconciles with, let's say, okay, fine, a lot of people come with this and say, even myself yesterday, I was like, well, he only said let's move on, like he has apologized. That doesn't really mean, they're gonna be all yeah, or, laughing together in public. But like Tina or someone said, like, I think this is kind of like a setting up that foundation for them going on that guy's trip and all of that. My issue is that I think we're not holding this man accountable enough. Because let's look at it this way. If Nick and I hope that is not where he's going, but hey, I'm not Nick. But if Nick publicly reconciles with Alan and is talking, smiling, and doing all of those things that, they're friends now, I fear Olandra could possibly face the same pressure to mirror that grace with Shelley. Because then it starts to become a narrative of, well, if Nick can forgive Alan, especially the what do they call them, Shalandra or what, Shelley's fans, it becomes, because they're already on Olandra anyway, about what did Shelley do, you're a bad friend, or things like that. My problem is, if Nick can forgive, they will start to change that narrative of, if Nick can forgive Alan, why can't Olandra forgive Shelley, which isn't fair or equivalent, right? The same way Alan's fallout already splashed on Shelley's reputation, tying the situation together risk repeating the same pattern and dragging Olandra into the backlash he didn't like. She didn't earn. You didn't earn. I mean, so the issue for me is the way constantly these men continue to put these women in a position whereby they have to. They just have to position themselves around the mistakes or the way these men move. Because like it or not, everyone who is looking at Alan is also looking at, this is your man, or Shelley, right? Is your man is a reflection of you, where even though they're not married. That is the reality. That's the reality we're sitting. The same is gonna go for Nick and Olandre. And I am hoping that, as much as Nick wanna be gracious and nice and all of that, I hope he moves in a way that whatever he's doing is not getting back, is not having to put Olandra in a situation whereby she would be forced to have to make a decision that she would have it would have been better to make when she is comfortable to do so. And I think that's just my own issue with this whole thing. That's all.
That's a really great perspective. And some people in the comments were saying that apparently that's already happening, that some fans are already, making the request of Alandria to forgive Michelle or to be back in a relationship with Michelle. I think, again, like, we don't know what is happening. But here's the thing. I see your comment, Franny. I feel like that's a reach. Who told you Alandria hasn't accepted Ace's apology either? If Ace called Nick, then he spoke with her. Nick and Alandria are not together at all times, right? And until you have something to actually say, we have something to pull from that demonstrates, oh, maybe she did forgive it. I think that's a reach and it's unfair. Hi, son. Someone said in the comments, and I wanted to respond to, people, what did you say? People, like, I don't remember exactly what you said. But here's what I wanted to say in response to what you said. If you are in a romantic relationship with someone, you and your boo, okay? And I think most of the people that are on this platform that follow me are women, right? So if you as a woman, you and your partner, right? They get into it with someone, or y'all get into it with someone, right? Y'all get into it with whoever this person is. And then, hold on, let me mute this person because they're in here. They need to not even be on TikTok. Block. Okay. You and your partner get into it with the person, and then nobody's trying to control their lives. I want y'all to use your whole fucking brains. Don't piss me off in this live, okay? Don't piss me off. No, Coco, we're not, because we're not over there in their space. You guys are contributing to their mental health issues. No, we're not. We're not in their space. We're having a completely separate conversation. Thank you. Never mind. Thank you, Gigi. Don't piss me off, right? If you and your partner get into it with someone, and that person then comes and apologizes to your partner, and your partner says to you, let's just move on. I have talked to y'all before, not just about this, right? Not just about this, right? Be wary of people that want you to go along to get along. I'm not saying that this happened with Nick and Alandria. I just want you to look at the analogy of, you have a partner. You all have been offended by someone. Your partner gets an apology. Do you then feel pressure to just move on because your partner got an apology? Is that fair to you? Is that fair to you? So when he uses the language of let us, that is a contraction for let us. I know that everybody over here reads. I know that you do. I know that you do, because you follow me. Right? Well, maybe not everybody follows me in here. But you know that was a request to the public to let us move on. Listen. It is okay for people to say, I actually don't want to do that. It's okay. You don't, and I know somebody was like, yes, some people do that for your partner. They do. But Nick is not our man. He's a person that we are a fan of, that we like, right? But we don't have to do that simply because he is doing it. So Nick saying, I'm over it. Listen, Sheen, I know they do. Just because Nick is saying, I'm over it, great for Nick. Nobody else has to be on that time if they don't want to. Stop asking people to do that. And that was the problem, I think, to begin with, Baby Bliss 19. A lot of people continue to be mad on behalf of Nick and Alandria. I said that on my video yesterday. A lot of people, you were only mad because you thought it was offensive to Nick and Alandria rather than realizing I don't like those behaviors. And that's why I'm mad. I don't like those behaviors. And that's why I feel away, regardless of who we got aimed at. But see, people, it's the principles. Where are your principles? Where are your values? Where are your own personal morals and ethics? Because if the offense is you only give a fuck if it offends people you like, that means you're okay with the behavior. I'm sorry. It means you're okay with the behavior. It should have never been about protection of Nick and Alandria. It should have always been about you using your own brain and having your own opinion about the behaviors. Period. So if that is true, if what you care about is the behavior, then you don't actually give a fuck. Whatever, Nick. Whatever. I'm not doing that shit though. Until Alan actually publicly does demonstrate to me that there's a reason to do that. Y'all keep telling me Nick is only saying this. He's only saying this. Y'all are drawing conclusions from things he did not fucking say. And I don't do that. He's just saying to focus on him and his career. When did he say that? Because he could have said that. Here's the thing, shit. I understand that. We're not even talking about that, right? He absolutely should not be. He should not be getting death threats. We know that, or DTs. We know that. Right? But we're not going to, I love y'all enough, right? To just be honest. Yes, Gigi.
I'm sorry. I see you trying to hold back the asshole. And I'm just like, why? Why? This is your life. Why?
Because
but no, you said it. You are only my therapist. You don't have to be nice to these people. Stop it. You don't have to be nice to these people. You are my therapist. Okay. I'm very much there with you, right? Like and I'm a very petty person. I'm a Virgo. My petty runs deep. My grudges run very deep. Very much dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, your entire family. Like, I am the type of person, like somebody said in another live that I'm the type of person, I thought it was really funny, they clocked me like that. That my daughter, my little fam and cheese, better not come and tell me somebody they're not talking to, because I will be plotting ways to delete your entire bloodline. Like, don't come and tell me, because I will, like, listen, I will go to the island for you and go get my pots and my pans and my jars. Don't play with me. So don't ever tell me about somebody that you beef with. My child knows better. Give me the cheese, but don't give me too much, because that's me, right? At the same time, I've also had to learn that just because she forgives somebody doesn't mean that I have to. And I think that's what, and I also don't have to bash her for doing so. And I think that that's like what the biggest discourse has been. And that's what I have been on top of like this entire time. Like me, I don't see it for Alan, and that's cool. And Nick, the way I took what Nick was saying was like with his let's move on. And this could be me being, it could be a stretch, but I took it as, okay, well, you're going to move on and you don't want to hear any more about it. And you don't want people dragging you or bashing you or bringing it up to you. I'm going to do as I please because I'm grown. But I don't have to involve you in this discourse. And I think that's just kind of what it is. It's like, if he wants to do it, okay, do it. Like, you are not this man's, okay, pardon my Russian, but you don't put a finger in that man's booty at night. So what are you concerned about? Like, I don't understand. Like, why are y'all so mad? I need y'all to get over it. He, the woman who he's putting fingers places that she wants to put them, they let them have that conversation. And let it be that. See, look, you didn't have to be the asshole, Tina.
Listen, yes.
Why you had to do that, Gigi? Now I'm thinking about the hunting wives because why?
Look, that's not my fault. That was my mom's advice. My mom never gave me to talk about the birds and the bees, but she did say, don't let people let you get activated if they're not putting a finger in your booty at night. So I was like, okay, sure.
Okay, Mom. Okay, Tata, I want you to go ahead and give your thoughts.
I'm in a really shitty mood because I've been having to fight for my life with Haitians in my comments. So I'm in a really bad mood. But so I'm just gonna talk about my observations. First off, there's this thing that people on TikTok has been doing that I found very manipulative and just very dangerous. It's just like, oh, it's September, y'all still talking about this, or Nick said to move on. Can y'all move on? Or it's just the way of just like dismissing things. Oh, it's not that deep. It is always deep and it's always serious. Especially at the times we're moving right now, where I'm feeling like shit, we're about to be in lockdown, ain't nobody coming to save us. Like I want to talk about what I can talk about. You know what I mean? Don't try to control me for having an opinion about something. If you don't want to talk about it, then you move the fuck on. Not me. You know? But I feel like at first when Nick said it, nothing about what he said triggered me. At first I laughed it off. I was just like, I'm a Capricorn. It couldn't be me. Because if you tell me someone did something to you, I take it personal. And when you forgive that person, now I'm looking at you sideways because, bitch, what do you mean? Because we were mad at this person. You know what I mean? So, like, that's how I took it. It took me a while to realize that Nick was telling me to accept an apology. And I was like, nah, nigga, I'm not accepting nothing. Right? And I feel like even if Ace were to come out and apologize today, I'm not accepting shit because he had plenty of time to apologize. Now, if he does it now, it's because he wants something from me. And I don't fuck with people like that. Because you're not getting shit from me. The time for you to have fixed your mistake when it was a mistake has gone. It's past. You stood on it, so you better keep standing on that shit and choke on it. It's not my business. That's where I'm standing, right? So I feel like the same way I was looking at Shelly sideways for accepting and endorsing Sierra's apology on behalf of the Asian people, I feel a way about Nick accepting the apology on behalf of the Black community. I'm not angry with Nick in a way I'm like, I'm not supporting him, but I am looking at him sideways because this not your place to tell us Black people how the fuck you feel about a Black man. You need to stand the fuck down, right? But I still like Nick. I'm just like, nigga, I'm looking at you funny now. And I also feel like, based on what he talked about, like, I don't want to say too much because the live was private, but people have posted live now, so I don't know. I feel like Nick is kind of, sort of, maybe trying to soft launch that him and Alendria are just friends. I'm just saying. I have a feeling, I have an inkling in my bones that I think they're going to remain friends because of the way he was talking about his mental health and the fact that he's probably going to choose to stay in Florida to be with his family. And she sounds pretty sure about LA. You know what I mean? So I feel like, and he's like, okay, he was in long distance relationships before. I was like, okay, like I'm fine with it. They're not together. I don't need them to be together to be happy. But I feel like he's asking for permission in a way because there was something he said about sometimes he forgets that the choices are his to make. He said that in the live. When people are like, it's okay if you choose to stay in Florida for your mental health. And he said, sometimes I forget that, it's my choice. So I feel like, we need to give him some grace, yes, but it's okay for us to look at him sideways also, because what the fuck do you mean? Let's move on. Move on from what? Because Black men have been showing their ass since the beginning of history. I just learned some awful shit about Martin Luther King, like I'm still reading about. So like, I don't need you to tell me to move on from shit. That's it. That's all.
I didn't get to see the live. Maybe if y'all find it on here and you want to tag me. I know he wasn't live for very long because I literally like made a video and posted it and he was already off of live in that time frame. I would love to see and kind of get my own perspective around it. Yeah, I would be
It's
curious.
posted on YouTube. I'll see if I can find the link for you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, he was on live for 3 hours.
He was there for a hot minute. Like,
Yeah,
he
the
was
live
taking
was
people with him.
long.
He was on live for a hot minute.
He took us on a trip. We went to meet and greet. We came back. We almost went to the club with him. That live was long as hell. Like, he really, really took us out there in the streets.
That's funny. Somebody asked me, did I think that Nick and Alandra's relationship would last if it's long distance? I don't think that it's any different than any other long distance relationship and the challenges that might arise with that. Oh, he ended it and then came back on. So maybe when he came back, I saw the ended part. I didn't know he came back on. And I needed to get off of TikTok because once my videos start doing numbers, it gets a little overwhelming because I be feeling like I need to respond to every comment, which is unreasonable. But that's the pressure I be putting on myself. So I was like, let me get off, child. I'll get back on tomorrow. But yes, I don't think it's any different than any other long distance relationship. I will say too, I'm listening to y'all say that he accepted. I'm gonna keep pushing this on y'all, and then I'm not gonna let y'all rest about this. What he said was, Ace apologized. Let us move on. I know that I have readers over here, so I know that y'all know context and comprehension. And that life is not about holding grudges. That is what he said verbatim. Oh, sorry, Peter. I forgot. I'm sorry. That is what he said verbatim. I don't follow Pepe, so I didn't see his story. So I want y'all know how to do reading comprehension. I know that you know that certain words together certain things, okay? I know that y'all know this. So him saying he apologized, let us move on is absolutely saying public, people in my comments, people saying all the things to me. Let's let it go. He's apologized. Let's move forward. Okay. That is him making a request to us as the people commenting, whatever the fuck, whoever. It's not him saying just for me. I know that y'all know that. Y'all are smart over here. Y'all are smart over here. Because y'all know good and well that he could have also said, I've moved on. Okay. Y'all know that. You can notice that and you can be honest about that. Thank you, Mish. Mish sent me his live. Y'all can be honest about that. And he did tell people to grow up. He said, Twitter, grow up, right? So you can be honest about that and still choose to fuck with him, y'all, okay? But do not keep saying all he did was say, I forgave him. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Nobody's being mean, so sis. Nobody's being mean. Nobody said he needs to hold a grudge. Literally, nobody said that. Do not get in my comments and piss me the fuck off. Don't do it. Because y'all come in here repeating shit that people already said, that we've already said we're not doing, and you're spamming the Thank you, Gigi. Don't do that shit. Don't do that, because nobody fucking said that. Do not piss me off, okay?
All right, let me give a quick warning real quick, all right? Keep it cute or be muted, all right? Blockarella is officially on duty. Let's not do that. Okay, we're having conversations. Tina gave y'all the benefit of the doubt and said that y'all are smart and that y'all can read and that y'all can listen to words. Let's not prove her wrong by proving that some of y'all should have been a stiff sock or a pearl necklace. Okay? Some of y'all should have been left behind on your daddy's sheets. Let's be nice.
I love y'all too. I love y'all too. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have Skylar give her thoughts, and then I'm gonna rotate out folks that are not subscribers and bring up people because I have people in the queue. Okay, Skylar, please give us your thoughts.
Hi, I've never done this before. But I love your takes. You are literally, I listen to you all the time, like best takes ever. But one of the things that I really have been thinking about is the optics behind Nick being white. I'm in an interracial relationship with a white man, and at the very beginning, it was very hard to explain that his decisions and his actions do not affect him. They affect me. I am the person that gets the backlash from what you do as a man because you're white and I'm black. And I think that's one of the things that I was really concerned about, especially in the villa, was how was Nick going to get out of the villa and protect Alandria in a way of like understanding that what he does and how he moves will affect her, because people will not hold him accountable. They will only hold her accountable. And it showed in the Ace interview when Shelly was getting hated on for Ace's decisions and his opinions. And I was fighting on Twitter all day about the fact that we comment on Nick's relationship and how he doesn't publicly defend Alandria, but neither does Ace in terms of Shelly. And if Ace had just said, I apologized to him, this hate train that has been going on since August would have stopped, and all of the vitriol and the anger and the stupidity when it comes to the people's takes would have never happened. I do think it is kind of weird that Nick went on this rant, because I know a lot of people assume that it means that with Ace's apology that Nick is endorsing what he said, which I don't think is very true. But with white men, I've learned that they move on very quickly. And I just think the optics behind how he went about it, he didn't realize how it would have affected Alandria at all. I don't think he thought about her.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think it's one that like people have been saying about lots of Islanders when it comes to the women, right? Here's something I'm going to say, and then I'm going to rotate out because I have 7 people in. I'm just going to rotate out the whole panel, do one last pull through, and then we're done, y'all. What I think, someone said it, and I think it was a good point, that like potentially what Alan thinks he's doing by apologizing to Nick, because again, y'all, the only information we have is that he apologized to Nick. That's the only information we have, okay? I'm not going to jump to he must have also apologized to Alandria. I don't know that, okay? But potentially what Alan thinks he's doing by apologizing to Nick is believes that he is gaining access to the social capital that I've talked about before, right? Gaining access to the social capital. What I think all of them are miscalculating is that Alandria is the program in a lot of ways, right? Like she is the social capital in a lot of ways, right? And thinking that you can make up with someone's boyfriend on behalf of something that you did to also them, it's another misstep. It's another miscalculation. It's another over-reliance on manhood and patriarchy as the power play in the room, right? If that is the intention, I think it's another misstep on his behalf. And it wouldn't shock me though, right? Like that wouldn't shock me if that was the intention, and it would be wrong. It would be wrong. It would be wrong. That's not going to do what he thinks it's going to do. Okay. Thank you all so much for your thoughts. Let me bring up a brand new panel. Real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Okay. Wait, Peter, you saying that you can't come up because you're at work? Let me know because I'm about to bring you up. Keisha, I will maybe go live later. Y'all, I'm trying to go to a day party maybe, but I don't know. I keep going back and forth.
Go party, girl.
There is, yeah.
Go let Chris touch your ass. Who said that? Who said that?
You're so funny.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, I'm about to bring you up, Peter. Yep. Okay.
Exactly.
What? Let Chris rub on your booty? What? Who said that?
Okay, and I'm gonna bring up Listen, I think so. Someone said, do we really think that Nick didn't discuss this with Alandria before he posted Sweet Tia? I'm gonna say this. If you want me to, it can't be both, right? And I'm not saying you're doing this, right? But it cannot be both things. It's either he crashed out and he had a misstep and he did this thing without thinking it through, and that's why he's taking it back. Or it's he did it on purpose and it was intentional, but it cannot be both. It can't be both. It can't be both. So we have to decide what are you all, not you explicitly, right? But the fans, what hill are y'all standing on? Where are you at, right? So it cannot be both. It can't be both. And he did delete the snap. He did say that he crashed out. And y'all know, I'm always here for growth. I'm here for you to learn the lesson. Okay. I know about impulse control as an ADHD person, right? I get it. Subs, I'm dropping you just so I can bring up other subs real quick. Sorry, y'all. I get it. You feel me? Okay, hold on, y'all. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna have Peter go first, just because Peter, I know you're at work, so that I
Yeah,
can rotate you out. Go ahead and give your thoughts, Peter.
yeah, thank you. Like I said, I'm getting ready for work. So I've been thinking this since yesterday, and I knew I wanted to talk in your live because we always have some great conversations. Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think the issue with Nick is that I think what he's suffering from is who he is as a person and trying to keep up with his new reality. I think that's the issue because as a person, I think he's a very easygoing, free-flowing sort of person that just moves through the world without any hassle because he has the privilege of being white, male, comes from us, I guess, not a wealthy family, but a family with means, and also being attractive. So he's able to move through the world with a certain ease, where a lot of persons haven't been able to. And I think now he's somewhat getting sort of challenge or some sort of pushback because now he's now famous, and all his actions and words are put in under a microscope and being looked at and judged and being picked apart. And I think that's reality now is now new for him. I don't think he's used with that. And I think what he needs, or what I think he needs, is somewhat like where a lot of black people, or a lot of black people move to the world, is a level of, what them call it, double consciousness. I think he needs a little bit of that in a sense because, as I said, how he is as a person is almost at odds with his new reality. And I think I don't want to say he's naive. I think it's somewhat a lack of being a self-awareness. He's probably trying to compute in his mind about being attacked for just simply just living, I guess, in a way where Alondra has the triple folds, where not only is she black, she's a woman, she's dark skinned. I know she has to deal with added benefit of also being famous now. So she's already been in this space of just being attacked, just basically from existing, in a way that I think he's never really had to deal with any of it. And I think that's where all of that crash out is coming from. I think that's where his mind is like, he's now being attacked simply for just existing, and people are constantly trying to come from. And I think that's a reality he's never had to deal with. And I think that's the reason for his crash out. So being in a reality that's very new for him and trying to negotiate all of that with everything that comes with it. Because if you're going to be a celebrity and you're going to have a lot of benefits from it, there's certain that is why people keep saying he doesn't need PR training. This is why celebrities overall have PR people and do PR training for this very instance. Because people nowadays are I don't want to say they're sensitive, but everybody wants to be offended by everything these days. They can't just say something, and especially where you're quote unquote, as if a celebrity can just say anything nowadays. They can't really have opinions on anything these days, because the second you have an opinion on celebrity, you can literally bite you in the ass just by voicing it. So I think that's the thing I'm saying. I think he's now in a space where I think a lot of black people, especially Alondra, where she moves through the world with, as the saying goes, a double consciousness in how you see yourself or you're being perceived, and have constantly having people come for you just by existing, or to basically live under a microscope, where he used to just be this free, fun going guy that was able to just exist. So now he has to monitor what he says and does. And I think that's where a lot of the challenges for him. He's never been under a microscope. He's never been challenged with his actions and his words, really, because he had the privilege to just basically move through the world with who he is as a person. And that's not the case anymore. Now people are coming for him in a way that he's not used to. and judging him in a way he's not used to. And I think that's what's causing the crash out. Is like he feels like he's constantly under attack, which is true. He is constantly under attack. People are constantly looking for stuff to blame him for or to get a cut you moment with him. And I think all of it is really getting to him at a certain point. So I think the best thing he can do is do what Alandria does: just post stuff and don't comment. Simple, just post, don't comment. Because the second you start commenting on stuff and what people think about you, then you get caught up in what he got caught up in yesterday. Because if the club appearance was just the person played the song and he danced to it, he didn't have to make any comment about that. He just even if he didn't make a comment, he could have just posted the one thing where he said, "Ace apologize, I've moved on," and that's it. But the car video was, I would admit, a little weird. I understand why he did it. I don't think it's a case where he was trying to comfort people. I think it's just saying, like, guys, you guys are doing too much. It's not that serious. I think that's the space he was trying to come at, was like, yeah, it's not that serious. You guys are doing too much. But it did backfire on him because a lot of his fans did take it personally. So that's what I'm saying. I think he's now in a space where he now has to have a double consciousness about all his actions and non-actions, what he says and doesn't say. I realize everything has consequences. I don't think he's ever have that where everything he does now has consequences. And with that, I'm mute.
Thank you, Peter, for your thoughts. Miss Ash, I don't know why you're saying that because literally nobody on this panel has said that. Margaret, I saw your question in the comments, but I also saw your attempt at shade in the comments beforehand. So if you want to actually engage from a place of curiosity, you're going to have to actually do a better job of that in the comments before I'm willing to respond to that comment. Because you came in here trying to be funny and it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. So if you want to actually ask that question genuinely, you're going to have to go ahead and apologize for the way you tried to come before, and then I'll go ahead and engage with your question. Because I do think it's a good question, but you're not going to come in my live playing and then think that I owe you labor. Okay? All right. Let's go from the top down. Zenobia, will you please share your thoughts?
Hi, guys. To talk about
Zenobia, I think maybe you got a call. So I'm going to go to the next person. Okay, Rose, will you please share your thoughts? And then we'll go back to Zenobia. Zenobia, did you get a call? Do you want me to come back to you or are you good? Okay, I'm going to come back to Zenobia. Okay, Rose, will you please give us your thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So my thoughts is that I think Nick is being very calculated. This wasn't what he's doing is soft launching either a partnership or a brand deal with Ace and possibly the rest of the guys. He has been doing Ace's dance these past couple of days. And then also I think the final straw with people was actually him playing his song. And so what he's trying to do is soft launch, like I said, an opportunity. And so he's testing out his social capital to see exactly where people stand with him, as well as with if he decides to join with Ace and other guys to see if there will be enough backlash that he could withstand or take. And also I think Ace is being very calculated as well. The fact that he apologized privately is a manipulation. Also, Ace is going to, I think Ace is not done giving Nick his lashes. I think he's trying to get access so that he can come in again and try to tear down the house that he's trying to build up. So I just think whoever is the most calculated, I think it's going to be another blow up because they're both being calculated. They don't trust each other. And if Nick is doing this to get the bag, I think he has discussed this with Alandria and said, hey, I'm going to do this to get this money and I'm going to move on. But if they have a friendship beyond that, then that's crazy. But I do think he has said, I'm going to go out here and get this money with him. And I think he has had that conversation with Alandria. But I think by him giving access to Ace, he's actually giving him an opportunity to, again, come back and undermine everything that he's trying to build up. Also, something else I had in mind. Also, I think, again, him doing all the dance, it was a soft launch. And yesterday, that crash out, I don't know. It could be it could be a crash out and it could not be a crash out. And I'm going to take that as such. I think he's still gauging the water, see how people are going to react. And I also think Nick could be overplaying his hand. He's trying to, because at this point he's going out of his way to vindicate Ace, and Ace hasn't supported Nick at all. He hasn't played Mamacita. He hasn't went on his live and said anything about Nick. And so if there is going to be a partnership, let Ace do some of that lifting up as well. Don't you put that on your back. So I think time will tell with this quote unquote friendship, partnership, whatever they're trying to do. But I just hope that both parties are smart, especially Nick, because he has more to lose from the situation. You're inviting somebody in that has less to lose than you. So just be smart about whatever you're trying to do. Be calculated if you're going to be calculated. But know at the end of the day that Ace was never his friend. So let's just take that out the equation. Ace was never his friend, and he will never really be his friend. But will Ace use Nick to get clout and money? Of course. So just my thoughts.
Those are great thoughts. I appreciate you sharing them, Rose. Thank y'all so much for always being so intelligent and thoughtful on the panel. I always appreciate how my panel, we don't all land in the same places around things, but we're able to share our thoughts with a lot of like intelligence and care and precision. So thank you for that. Okay, Fontaine, will you please share your thoughts?
I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute myself.
Okay.
I think that Nick doing what he did on his Snapchat the other day was him lashing out of irritation. His fans know that when he's addressing trolls, he likes to say, stay mad. And what he did by posting Ace's song and telling everybody that they need to just chill, that was him saying, stay mad to his fans. So he was really biting the hand that feeds him. I do think that Nick is being a white person who has a dad in business. By the way that he's navigating his relationship with Ace, a lot of white men, even though they don't like a lot of their business partners, they try to maintain some level of civility just for potential business going forward. And I think that's how Nick is moving. He's not trying to burn any bridges completely. He's trying to still keep all avenues open. I also think that because Nick knows he's dating Olandria, who is a Black woman, he can't really challenge Ace like that publicly, because then it'll be seen as him coming against the Black community and overstepping. That's just my thoughts. You guys can correct me with or add additional perspective to that. But I think that publicly he won't really do anything like that because he doesn't want to get backlash from the community. I think he enjoys being brought into the fold, and he doesn't want to sabotage that part. However, I don't know how the relationship with Olandria is going to be going forward. Because me personally, if somebody came at my relationship, and I think Olandria is kind of similar to me, she's not standing for that for real. And so she's going to let Nick get burned on his own so that she can say, I told you so behind closed doors. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would say, I think, again, I'm always going to make space for all the things. It's not in there? You know what? It might be downstairs. Here's the thing I'll say. I also believe that he would never publicly come out and say anything wild about Alan, because remember, even in his interview after Sierra had done and said what she did and said, he still spoke very highly of her. He didn't speak negatively about her. He just said, I'm not fucking with it, right? But that lets me know that he knows how to do that, right? So he could have not said anything negative, but did not also have to say something supportive, right? He could have also just continued to say nothing, as he had been saying. People are like, he was tired of things in his comments. Here's the thing. I know that Nick Baby is online. He is an online master, right? Maybe not a master, but he be online, right? You know how to block words. Block Ace's name. It will never pop up in your comments. You never have to worry about seeing anything about that man. Block it. Filter the shit out. So it's like, I agree. I don't think he would ever say anything negative, But he also has demonstrated to me that he knows how to be like, I'm not doing nothing negative and I'm still not fucking with that person. So I'm not willing to ignore what he did choose to do. I'm choosing to take that in as information. And I think, to like Peter's point, right? I think he's never had to navigate the world in this way, probably. And so that makes sense to me. That he would, yeah, exactly. Him nor Alandria have ever spoken negatively, and they've always been clear about when they aren't fucking with somebody. You know what I'm saying? And there is a way to do that, and he knows how to. Right? I don't know anything about, maybe that is true for Snapchat, that he can't filter out on Snapchat. Does he have the option to turn off comments though?
You're right. He should practice control where he has it.
That's all I'm saying, right? It's like, how can he protect himself? Not if he wants to keep getting paid. So then I think because the reality is like, listen, people are not going to stop saying shit. People are not going to stop saying shit. So even him saying that doesn't mean people are going to stop saying shit, right? Can he monetize other platforms more successfully where he does have more control? Or like y'all said, to Fontaine's point, all money ain't good money, right? So can he also post and just go like, what can he do that he can control because he can't control the fans, right? So can he post and go? Can he choose on this platform? I may lose the money if I choose to post on it because I turn off the comments, but I'm going to focus on monetizing this platform where I have a little bit more control. Snap makes him a lot of money. He did start a YouTube channel. Snap pays the best. Yeah, I do think that he needs to be accountable around what he can control. Mickey, and I think that was a good choice for him. I think that was a great choice for him. He has to learn the balance. I said this when they first came out of the villa, though. I don't know if y'all saw that video. When they first came out of the villa, I said, I really want them to find a balance. Because what I think is going to happen, people will build you up in order to tear you down. Right? And so I think they're going to have to find a balance to protect themselves and the relationship. So I'm glad that he's taking the things now. He's doing the things now to protect himself. And he made a choice, and it's okay to say he just made a choice for me. Okay, Ivy, will you please share your thoughts?
Okay, hi everyone. Nikki Poo. So listen, let's start. I'm gonna just backpedal from what you guys were talking about. The Snapchat thing. If your mental health it means so much to you, Nick, turn the comments off. Even if it's just for a week, bro, let it blow over. You know, you did not I get, okay, it's a crash out, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, how much of it is really a crash out if you're picking up your phone to record yourself? You know, it's like when people pick up their phone to record themselves crying. It's like, come on. You could have a crash out and you could punch a wall and ain't nobody even know. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, oh, you want to quote unquote troll people back. Meanwhile, all it's doing is backfiring on Olandria. Just like, I don't know who it was, they had dropped down, but someone had said they're dating a white man or married to a white man. And like, she had to tell him like, listen, what you do reflects back on me. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to reflect back on me. Like, yeah. Because guess what? Them people on Twitter and on whatever, TikTok and Threads, like, I unfortunately made it to the Chalet side of Threads. Oh my gosh, they're scary. They're insane. They're actually insane. But yeah, they're literally dragging Olandria so bad. And I'm just like, damn, like I know that Twitter is even worse, you know? So it's just like, yo, he talking about, oh, I deleted my Twitter. Negro, you was never on Twitter in the first place like that. Like, you know, like, okay, you could have just did that and like moved on. Just deleted the Twitter and turned your Snapchat comments off, you know? I don't like the way he handled it at all because, you know, like we all said, and I'm also the fan base, okay, yes, I understand we're Nicolandrians, but let's not act like we're not Olandrians. Like, come on, like, I get, yeah, they're in a relationship, but if push comes to shove, we're Olandrians. At least we should be, like, as a Black woman, I am, like, she was the reason I tuned into the show. At one point I was shipping her with Zach. So, it is what it is. Because if it wasn't going to work out with Nick, it was going to have to be Zach. It was like, listen, I know people be coming for the Ola dolls. I'm like, yo, I'm low key a Ola doll. I don't be tearing Nick down, but I'ma always hype up my girl. And yeah, Olandria is a real one. I just saw somebody say Olandria harder than a lot of these niggas. As she is. She's a real one. And I know she's not fucking with no private apology. If the way she responded in the reunion just last month reflects anything on her character, which I believe it does, when it came to Coco, saying what she said on the podcast, and probably what she said, she was only talking about for 15 seconds. Alan was talking about 10 minutes about Olandria and Nick. Yeah, he has to say that publicly, or else Olandria is not fucking with it, and she's still not gonna really fuck with him or Shelly. But I'm just saying, she's not going to respect no private apology. So for Nick to even say that, and I hate that people are like, oh, like, he don't want to come at Alan publicly because the backlash from the Black community. I think that we would have backed Nick personally. The Shelley's fans was never gonna back him or Olandria. Okay, we're bigger than them, So I feel like the majority of the community and the majority of Nicolandrians would have been fine if he spoke out publicly. I'm just like, where's the public defense of Olandria? That's my issue. Where is that? I don't know. Where is that? And I hope that this was not a soft launch for a Just Friends type of thing. But I mean, if it is, it is. I personally I really do think that they like it, I feel like they were brought together in a kind of divine way. I don't know. But that's what I think. But it might not be the right time for them because of all this societal pressure. So, I guess we'll see what happens. I feel like if Nick was really as down bad as people are making him seem in the Nicolandria nation, like, it wouldn't be no long distance, him mentioning his last relationship. Didn't you say that was a toxic relationship and she made you be open and this, that, and the third? Why are you mentioning the last relationship, bro? I didn't understand that. So I'm like, if it went that way because y'all were long distance and you didn't have the attention and the physical touch and quality time that you wanted, which is both you and Olandria's love languages, or the way you guys express and receive love, why would you think that long distance would be good for y'all? So I don't think that it's PR. What y'all talking about in the comments? Anyways, no, it's not no damn PR, but I definitely think that maybe Nick is like, okay, it's easier to just not be with her than having to work and step up, because remember the way he speaks about Sierra, it's like, he's like, yeah, it was easy. That's like one adjective he always uses for that situationship. He was like, it was easy. This thing with Olandria is not easy, and the amount of pressure and critique that he has that he's never received before is it's a lot, and I think that for maybe, I don't know if it's necessarily his age, he is 24, but I think for someone who is just breaking into the limelight, yeah, he would prefer easy. And, I don't like that for my girl, but she'll be okay. She'll be all right. I think that she, like we said, she's a diamond of the season. She's a diamond of the franchise. I don't think anybody is doing it like Olandria, and I don't think anybody will ever. So it is what it is.
Thank you, Ivy. I'm wondering, I see y'all in the comments talking about projection. I'm wondering what y'all are reading as projection. I really
Wait,
don't understand.
what? How am I projecting?
I can tell you.
Okay, please,
Okay,
Nikki.
Because I stayed up on Twitter last night till 3 a.m. in a space. And I don't want to spend my time talking about this, by the way, Tina, because I came to talk about something different, right? I'm just wanting to address this part. Is that we have had countless of conversations yesterday on Twitter, on TikTok Live and on Twitter about how there is a difference between critique of a situation and projection of a situation, and critique and projecting in a way how you would move versus by watching what that other person does and how they've been operating and saying based on how Alandria is moving, this is what I feel she would have done, not as opposed to, well, this is how I would do things. I think that's what, at least in my spaces, we talked about the difference of projection when it comes to, because a lot of people's projections are that this is what I would do, as opposed to, I've been watching Alandria, I've been watching how she moves. Listen, I the reason why I say that there's an unattainable pedestal that all sides of the Nick or Alandria standum. They are put them on an unattainable, unachievable pedestal. They have nowhere else but to fall. They have nowhere else to go but down. So there's no room for growth. There's no room for grace.
I guess I didn't hear that. I think what I y'all tell me if I'm tripping. What I took from it was, I mean, you said a lot of things, Ivy, but what I think I took from it was Nick and Alandria, as far as we know right now, people are saying they were on his live where he's saying that he might stay in Florida. And what they have, the information that they have from him in the villa and from him on Kiki's podcast is that longer distance relationships are challenging and he would like to live with or live close to someone that he is exploring, right? So I think that what I heard was Ivy saying, if he does stay in Florida and she does stay in LA, then it might be more challenging as a relationship, and that potentially he might choose ease over the difficult thing, right? Because he does often use a lot the word easy when it came to him and Sierra. Now I could argue why he used that word. They were in the villa, there was no depth, there was no real hardship, right? Blah, 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 blah. So I also know that he said that he could get on a plane and fly, but that also, y'all, it also is, they're booked and busy. So to me, I didn't hear projection. I heard Ivy saying, this is what I've heard him say. And so it could be challenging. And maybe this means that he would choose to not engage in it. Like maybe this means that it was a soft launch for like friendship because it's more challenging than maybe he anticipated.
And I feel like people are forgetting that literally Nick said in his in the finale, whether we're best friends, partners, or lovers, like, bro, they already know, like, it may not be a romantic relationship, at least not right now. You know, like, why are we acting dense in the comments? Like, projecting? I don't need to project.
I heard it as you trying to list all of these things that you heard him say.
Yeah. And I also listed what Olandria like has said in the past as well. She said she didn't want to do long distance. And mind you, Nick spent a month after the villa convincing her to move to LA. Now he changed his mind. He has the right to do that, but Olandria said, I will move for the right opportunities, which she has. She has the opportunity. She has her stylist. She has her agency in LA. She has her modeling opportunities and the right person. Why are we acting like she was only moving for the opportunities? She was also moving for the right person.
Can I jump in here?
I'm gonna let y'all jump in, rest of the panel. I see y'all in the comments saying they're already long distance, right? They're already long distance. It's already working. I do agree. They already have told us that it's romantic. Ivy's not saying that it's not romantic. What she's saying is that they have already committed to being in each other's life, period, whether it's romantic or not. And so it wouldn't necessarily be a negative if something were to change, y'all. I don't think this is Ivy. Ivy did not say they're going to be friends, they're going to break up. That's not what Ivy said, y'all. Ivy said these are the things that we know about how both of them feel about long distance relationships. This is what our most recent information is him saying, I'm not sure. And so this could potentially show up. That's the way that analysis work. It's just more information. That's it. She didn't say that these are things that are happening. I don't know. I don't know what's happening in the comments. Okay, Nikki, I want you to give your thoughts, and then I'm going to come back to the top of the panel.
Yeah, thank you. So as I was saying before, like I've been, in these spaces, going back and forth with especially a lot of people that, keep having these conversations of, Nick in particular. And let me just say this at first. I've been out here, living an adult life. I did not know anything about this until much later in the afternoon. And then when I found out that it was somebody had posted on Twitter, that Ace had apologized. Immediately, I was like, let me check. Like, I had a really angry response. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I started recognizing like what was happening to me in my body. I'm like, why am I so angry about this? Like, I don't know these people. But it was the truth, right? It was just the truth. That's just how I visually respond. And then I had a conversation. You know how I had that conversation with Tina? My mind and myself. I had it. And I didn't go online. And I didn't try to, I was just like, let me gather the information. Because when I sat with myself and I was just like, I've been on this shit since day one, right? Like, why am I having this like angry reaction towards Nick in this whole, and then, thank goodness I have gone into, spaces with people that I that are smarter than me, that are emotionally intelligent, that they had to remind me, girl, he just said he apologized. That's it. That's what it is. But then I was just like, but what really got me feeling that way, that visceral response? And it's because I am still concerned that Nick, being a white man, does not understand the gravity of what he does, and the blowback that it can have on a black woman. And I had to be honest with myself about that. I was just like, oh, it's how I always navigate every show that I watch. I'm always careful about who the black woman is aligned with, who the black woman is dating, who, like I'm a Survivor fan, who is the black woman in an alliance with, right? And I think when I'm hearing a lot of these conversations, I'm feeling that that's where a lot of the mistrust is coming from when it comes to, as people have said, Nick is a white man. It's when he said that statement, move on, it's a trigger for me. It's a trigger for me in the same way white people tell black people, what, are you going to forgive them for shooting you? Are you going to forgive that police officer? Just so they can move on from it. I heard it that way. And that's what triggered me into maybe I have a mistrust with black women dating black men. I mean, white women. But then I also had to remind myself, their situation. The reason why we're in this situation right now is because two black men failed to protect a black woman. That's why we're in this situation right now as it is. So I I've just spent today kind of reflecting on all the conversation that I've been a witness to and been a part of, and watching the amount of death threats being sent to Nick, all of them really, but most recently the ones that I've seen with Nick. And I told somebody in the space, can you imagine, Tina, can you imagine if we had this same fucking energy for standing up for Black people and Black history in this democracy? Can you imagine where we would be? We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here in this moment. Because as much as we are arguing back and forth, tit for tat, arguing about where Alandria should be, what she should be doing, who she should be with, we might not have that opportunity come 2026. And that's what was really bothering me. Because I saw so much engagement. And I can't even get a repost sometimes when I talk about what's really affecting Black people. So I think that's where my anger is coming from. And I had to point it out. I had to figure that out. So I'll stop right now because I'm so emotional right now.
Thank you, Nikki. Listen, y'all, Nikki is doing, I see y'all in the comments being like, whoa, what's happening? But Nikki is doing like exactly what I tell y'all should do. When you're having big reactions to shit that has nothing to really do with you, you should get curious about where is that coming from. And Nikki was able to say, oh, this is actually not about that. This is about something different, right? She was able to pull apart what's actually on her plate versus what's attached to the Islanders. That's actually what you should be doing, so that then you're not getting in the comments and being totally weird with people. Get curious about where that shit is coming from. You need to be curious about why you're having that reaction in your body. What is that about? So Nikki is doing actually what you should be doing. It's normal to have a visceral reaction. The extra step is to be curious about why, right? That's the work, is why. And in a way, it is all connected. Yeah. Okay, going back to the top of my, I'm actually going to go Sit One, Jay, and then Stars. Go ahead, Sit One, please share your thoughts.
Thank you. It's my first time on your panel. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Welcome.
Thanks. So I have two thoughts. One regarding Nick and how people were reacting in another live. Listen, I'm not here to criticize anyone. I'm just saying, when people are, it cringed me out so hard I had to leave the live. Because as Peter said, Nick is a white man who's gone through this world, especially the United States of America, with ease. He's gone through with so much ease that sometimes I tell Black Americans to go visit Jamaica, to enjoy some rest. Because there, at least Black women would realize that they're desired. And one of the reasons why there's so much anti-Nicolandria is because from some Black women is that they don't even recognize that Black women can be desired. This place is so toxic with the racism against Black people that they don't realize that outside of the United States of America, Black people are desired. Black women are desired. Dark-skinned women are desired. Separate and apart from that, when I see people just crying over his emotions, and I'm like, I go through hell in my personal life, and this guy is living. I watched his. Hello? Why is this thing coming up? And I'm like, I watched his video, his stream last night, and this guy's living his life, and people are crying over him. Like, this guy's going through life with ease. If he gets a little pushback, and he can handle himself, he pushes back. So we shouldn't be, especially as Black women, how are we feeling so much anxiety and pain for somebody who's good looking, is a model, has like he's just travels whenever, like you just get a little pushback online, he doesn't even have to respond. Be reasonable, touch grass. Like, you stop crying over this guy. I like him, but like, be reasonable, people. let's not waste time. Let's focus on more important things than crying over somebody who has an easy life. Separate and apart from that. And I like him. Don't get me wrong. I like Nick. He's a good guy. In terms of Ace should apologize publicly because you went ahead and you said you insinuated that somebody has an STD. You should apologize. You shouldn't be private with that sort of thing. You also went ahead and implied that Olandria is a scammer because if she's in a fake relationship, she's doing it for the dollars, then she's scamming. So you should apologize to both people, not just one. And you should do it publicly. And my concern and the reason why I'm really about Ace, I separate, because I used to say Shelly and him, they should be the winners, actually. The reason why I separate myself from Ace is because he is motivated by envy. And to me, that's a huge character flaw because he's done it twice. He did it with Jeremiah and now he did it with Nick. I'm saying you can't trust somebody like that. Because if he's gonna be he's gonna be motivated by envy, he's dangerous. He's a dangerous person and he could harm somebody. Because he's in competition with the person. He thinks that he should lie because he lied. Let's be honest, Ace lied. He should lie and he should slander and he should try to harm someone because he's envious. And to me, that's the worst character ever. Something is wrong with him. Something is dangerously wrong with him, and that's not a person that I want around me. Okay, so it's not merely what he did; it's his motivations. It's the fact that he's willing to physically do something motivated by his envy that's shocking to me and alarming to me.
Yeah. Thank you for your thoughts, Sent One. I appreciate it. Listen, y'all, I hear y'all in the comments. I don't disagree. I think it's okay for people to have empathy. I think it is like that's people being attached to their humanity. Now, I will say I don't know what Nick has or has not said about his mental health. And I will say that simply because someone is smiling does not mean that all is well, right? And so I think we have to be mindful of we only know what they tell us, right? We only know what we can kind of see based on body language, right? That's what they're communicating to us, but we don't know everything. We don't know the ins and outs of things, right? People are saying, somebody said that Nick is a people pleaser. I will say this, and then I'm going to have my last two panelists go. I know it's a bunch of y'all in the queue, but I'm already an hour over when I was supposed to leave. I will say too, right. I don't know that he's a people pleaser. I don't know enough. I haven't seen enough from him to think he's a people pleaser. He's actually done things that will make me say probably not, that he is like a people pleaser. What I would say is everybody wants to be liked, y'all. That's not abnormal. That's not abnormal. Everybody wants to be liked. We need community in order to survive. So him wanting community does not shock me. I actually don't think he's an avoidant person when it comes to conflict either. We saw him go directly to Elan. Again, y'all, we saw him say to Hilga, I think that you should have gone home and I don't want you to be left out. He is empathetic, right? He's tapped into his humanity in a way that feels uncomfortable for people. The lesson that Nick will have to learn is that you can be tapped into your mental health. Tapped into your humanity and not make excuses for people, that both of those things can be true, right? The same way I talk about I can acknowledge that thing about you and not try to make you the scum of the earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's I don't think that he struggles with these things. He just has empathy in a way that feels uncomfortable for people, which I know he's a nurse, but as far as I know, he never actually acted as a nurse, right? He just has his licensure and got his degree. But I will say, not to make it all about that, but he is a Pisces and we definitely can get along with most people. And I've said this to y'all before, sometimes it takes us longer because we do like to see the good in people. And y'all have to also remember he had a relationship with this man based on the villa, right? He had a relationship with this man based on the villa. To him, the interview may feel like a blip compared to his experience with him in the villa. That may be true. It may take 1 or 2 or 3 more times for him to really realize he's being burned. I'm sorry. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you as viewers, you as people with your own brains can't see the behaviors and be like, I'm still not fucking with that. You can still make your own assessments and your own determinations. I'm sorry, SK. Right? And it's a hard and honestly a really painful lesson to learn. Like, his feelings are going to be hurt. I'm going to say when it happens again. It may not be as public, but unless Alan grows, right, which I do think he's capable of that, it's going to be a painful lesson. And it's going to hurt, right? And then he's going to be probably embarrassed. There's going to be like that extra layer of it, right? So he's going to be navigating all his own shit about it. So nobody needs to be hopping in his comments with some I told you so's or look at this man make it. Nobody, he doesn't need that from you. He doesn't need that from you. Okay? He doesn't need that from anyone. He'll learn the lesson on his own, but you get to look at it and make your decisions based on what you're seeing. Okay. All right, Jay, will you please give your thoughts?
Hi. First, I want to say thank you for having this space for us to talk. I've come about your page and your lives a lot, and this is my first time joining. So I do want to say thank you for that, for all the 30-somethings who have been obsessed with the show. So thank you for that. Second of all, like, I love that. I forgot who was on the panel earlier, but someone said they had to like think about themselves and like, why are they so into this? And I think people need to do a more holistic, realistic approach about like, why are they so obsessed with this? Why is this taking up so much of their time? Me personally, I think it has to do with like the world is on fire and you don't want to pay attention to all of the craziness that is going on in this world. And seeing Orlandria and Nick together is like bringing some sense of joy. I know people are making fun of her for saying that, but it is bringing like some sense of joy and kindness to their lives and the world, because like when you think about everything that's going on, you're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Right. When it comes to Nick and Orlandria of it all, right, I think we have to also remember that they didn't realize people were obsessed with them when they came out of the villa. Right? She really thought people were going to hate her for picking him, right? She didn't know, like, if you look at their interviews, they'll say like, oh, I didn't notice things until I saw the edits of like him looking at me. Or she even told her mom, she was like, oh, I didn't even know he liked me until a week ago. Like, she didn't know this. So I think people also have to realize like, they didn't know what they were coming out to. So I also think people have to realize we don't know these people in real life. You would love to say like, oh, I don't think she would do this. I don't think Nick would do that. But you don't know these people. You don't know the conversations that they've had. You don't know if like their team or their people have said, you know what? Continue to date, continue to get to know each other, and we'll see how this happens. And then we'll see what this brings in the future for your for your careers. Because them going on a press tour was a different type of insanity. Like, her looks during the press tour brought a different type of press. Their interviews brought a different type of press. Like, I don't think Peacock thought that or Nick Orlandria was going to be what Nick Orlandria was going to be, clearly from the edits, right? That people online had to make their own edits for the show to be like, no, we love them, right? So I think the press tour, that press week was like, oh no, this is a phenomenon. Like, who knows if it wasn't what it was, if they would still be like, the relationship would be what it is right now. And I'm not saying like it's fake or anything like that, because I had to catch myself last week and be like, why am I so sad if it doesn't last? Like, why would that make me sad? Right. And I think people have to think about that. Like, why would that make you sad if they decided to be together anymore? And I had to come to the conclusion, like, okay, if they're not together, they're not together. If they are together, they are together. These are not Sims. These are real people. Like, they have real lives. And me personally, I think something has shifted over these last 2 weeks since New York Fashion Week. Like, there's just something the way they're moving is a little bit different, right? Him saying that he doesn't want to move to LA. If you watched her live, she's like, no, I'm looking at apartments. Like, I'm moving to LA. Like, I'm doing something for myself. And he's like, yeah, but I'm moving to Florida, right? So like something has shifted. We don't know, good or bad. Like, again, I'm going to say we don't know these people. This is their real life. So something could have shifted. And I think we also have to realize, like I saw something on TikTok earlier that Pepe said, like, he talks to Nick like almost every day. So if someone talks to someone almost every day and he does an interview and he says, and the interviewer asked him, who do you think's going to last? And he very much quickly says Ace and Shelly, Taylor and Clark, and then like says, oh yeah, Nick and Alandria. Like if someone talks to someone every day and they don't mention your relationship, what does he know that we as a public don't know, right? We want to say like, oh, we don't think they would fake anything. Like I said, I don't think this is PR, but like we don't think they would fake anything. But like Alandria's a smart girl. She's not naive. She's not being pulled. She's not getting her strings pulled, right? So who knows what conversations have been had to say like, hey, maybe we stay together for a little longer to get the deals that we're going to get until, until like we get everything that we need and then it's done. Like, I think my realistic brain is saying like, okay, Sweet Green is coming out with something new. Aqua de Freak or whatever it is called, they're also going to be coming out with something for Halloween. It wouldn't surprise me, and don't get upset with me in the comments, it wouldn't surprise me if we get closer to Thanksgiving and a statement comes out that we're better as friends and we're still going to support each other and we love each other, but we're better off as friends. Because if, let's just say, the fandom would be pissed if that Thanksgiving came and they both chose to do Thanksgiving with their families separately and not together. Like people would be upset. So I feel like if that was real, they would make a comment and say, we're going to be friends. We love each other. It just didn't work out. Right. And I think that statement would come closer to Thanksgiving. And at that time, both of their individual brands would be established and they wouldn't have to worry about anything else. And I think we would have to be okay with that. And I think we would have to be okay with, and this is, again, don't get upset with me in the comments, maybe, just maybe, Ace, what he said was true, but he shouldn't have said it out loud because that was something that was supposed to be private, right? And that's why when he got interviewed at the VMAs, when he said, oh, I'm learning, right? Maybe he's learning to not say things publicly. Maybe he's learning that things are supposed to be kept quiet, right? We don't know these people. Do I think they look beautiful together? Yes. Do I think that I like their chemistry? Yes. But these are not Sims. These are real people and things change and we have to be okay with that. And again, thank you for this space. Thank you for allowing us to talk. I feel like I didn't have anyone to talk to about this because I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, you thinking about this too much. But thanks for the space.
You're welcome, Jay. I will say, like, I don't think if Alandria and Nick were to break up, I don't think that it would be because they had been pretending, right? I don't think it would be that they had a lot like been playing or PRing for this time in order to build their brands. I also think that, and I've said this about Alan and Michelle as well, like, y'all, if things don't last forever, that doesn't make it less beautiful or less powerful or less successful when it was happening, right? I know, which is why I sent one. I'm saying that I don't agree with, if they break up, I would assume that it was the natural course of action for the relationship based on things changing because things change all the fucking time, right? And what you thought maybe could work, maybe can't work, and that's okay, right? But I just
Exactly. That's why I was going to say, like, okay, we know that Alandria is a woman of faith, right? And maybe, just maybe, they're not equally yoked. And maybe they didn't find that out until just now. Like, that's what dating is for. Like, you're supposed to be like, oh my gosh, we have this in common. We don't have this in common. And like, that's why I said I don't think it was PR at all. I think they really like, you cannot fake that chemistry. And we clearly all know their acting is not what what it should be. So they can't act. We know this. So like, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was fake. I think something happened over these 2 weeks that maybe something did change. I don't know. Like like I said, I don't know these people, but I think we have to remember, like, she's a woman of faith. You have to see, like, okay, are these people equally yoked? Should we actually be together? But that's the whole point of dating. You wouldn't know until you know.
And here's the thing,
I'm
too,
not a
y'all.
Shalance. Oh, sorry. I'm not a Shalance fan, guys. I promise you. I don't follow either of them. I literally only follow Alandria and Nick. And like I said, I think they're great. I just have to be more realistic about, like, is this real or not?
I think it's okay for people to say that they're taking in information and that they might be having their own opinions about it, y'all. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. That doesn't mean we also all have to agree in here, right? Like, I think that I've always been, just like, exactly. Don't do that. He's a Pisces, so he's playing, y'all. I'm a Pisces. I'm a Pisces. So I would say, listen, I don't Pepe can't tell me shit. Okay. I'm just going to say it like that. Pepe can't tell me shit. Anybody that is clocking, and I don't know, because I didn't watch the interview, right? I'm only going off of what y'all are telling me. Anybody that's clocking Chark and Shalace as the end all be all, to me, has poor discernment. So you can't tell me shit. I'm not taking your perspective as like to the bank. I'm not personally. Okay. It doesn't mean it's not true for you, but I'm not taking it to the bank. Okay. If Pepito is telling the truth and saying that Iris played in his face with that man, you also are telling me you have poor discernment, because the way she hugged that man when they met up, why did you believe that it was just a closure conversation? So and she was in your face all day, every day. Not all day, every day. I'm exaggerating, but y'all know what I mean, right? So you can't tell me anything. I'm sorry. You don't have enough evidence for me to believe that you know what it looks like when a relationship is strong, because you were calling that girl your girlfriend and she was like, oh, I don't really know. And you were in her face. So you can't really tell me anything. You're not a reliable source. You know what I'm saying? You don't have enough discernment in your own shit for me to believe that you can discern somebody else's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So for me, nothing has changed until something changes, right? Y'all know that I'm always getting information. I will say I do have some thoughts that I have not shared publicly, that I won't share, because y'all know I don't share thoughts until I have more data. I need to know. I be thinking things, but I need to look at some more information before I start saying shit. Okay. But based on what Pepe said, or like, you can't, I'm sorry. No, not for me. Not for me.
But isn't that funny too? That like, why? Okay, we don't. Like I said, I'm always going to preface this as we don't know these people. But why would Nick be talking to Pepe every day? Like, that's weird. He's a weird individual. I don't know him, but he seems like a weird individual. And the fact that he even had the nerve to say, like, oh, I'm trying to get all the boys together. I don't know how you could be friends with anyone that assumes you had an STD and told the world you had an STD. Like, why would I be friends with you? That's weird. That's weird behavior. You know?
Pepe is definitely giving, can we just get over it so that we can all be boys again? Somebody said it. Thank you, Jay, for your thoughts. Somebody said it in, like, I think one of my comment sections, like, it's giving summer camp, and, you know, he wants to go back to summer camp, and he's like, I just want to, what was interesting to me about Pepe is, like, he was acting as though the villa was more real life than actual real life. And that was weird. Because how y'all are acting today right now is real life, Pepe, because you're in the real world. The villa was a contained experiment. Like, what are you talking about, Pepe? Like, that's not more real than real life, sir. And so if this is what's happening in real life, What are you talking about? And again, I don't listen. I don't know. Yeah. I be needing more data. I know y'all want to hear my opinion, but until I have more data, I won't give it, right? That's why I was so tentative about giving my opinion about Tay Tay and that fluid masculinity, because I felt like I needed more data first. Okay. Stars, will you please give us your thoughts?
Hey, thank you so much for this live and for letting me speak. I'll try and get my thoughts together because I've been waiting a while, so forgive me if I forget anything. But in terms of what Nick said when he said, like, let's move on and, you know, forgive Ace, I think for me personally, why that bothered me was because the principle for me is always the fact that a dark-skinned Black woman has been collateral damage for everything that not just the men in the villa have done, but other women in the villa have done. And Shelley and Alandria's experience mirrors each other, but is also slightly different because Alandria is also faces additional vitriol because of the additional layer of featureism that people are constantly actively trying to discredit her desirability, discredit who she is as a person, and she actively hasn't done anything, right? So my issue with Nick through this, and I do genuinely like them both, but my issue with Nick through this is I have been seeing a lack of discernment and a lack of understanding of the type of public protection she needs when it comes to these specific people being around her. Because we have watched her from the show get played by Ace and by Alan and Taylor, and then come out and be forced into situations where she's forced to kumbaya with these people, even though at times she has been visibly uncomfortable, even said out of her mouth that the reason she's cool with some of these people is because she didn't want to cause any trouble or stir up any of the dynamics, so she just kind of sucks it up. So we've watched her be friends with a woman who is best friends with the man who played in her face, is with the man who helped her play in her face, and she was just quiet and loved everybody and was kind to everyone. And then her man is then cool with the same man who played in her face. So it's like there's been this pattern where I don't think it's intentional, because Nick genuinely seems like the type of person who just loves everybody, but that comes at the expense of this dark-skinned Black woman who doesn't seem to have the same public protection that she actually needs. And I think that is the missing piece when he kind of acts out, because Nick can be petty and he can, you know, have his crash out. So for example, when that James Charles lookalike tried to call him homophobic for mistaking him for James Charles, and then he went and followed James Charles, like he does things impulsively to kind of get back at the person or the people who are attacking him, but he doesn't think those through, because even with that situation, it's like, you followed James Charles, the groomer. What was the point? Like, what point are you proving? And so I think the same thing happened again with this Snapchat thing. It's like, okay, cool, you're telling people they're mad and they can stay mad, but what point were you proving? Because at the point, the person who is on the receiving end of the vitriol is always going to be Alandria. And so when Nick first came out of the villa, for example, and he went on the Kiki podcast and he was talking about the bullying situation, and people took it as he had confirmed that actually, yes, Huda had been bullied, and so then the Hood Rats had the right to kind of bully Shelley and Alandria. The pushback against that narrative was, okay, look, Nick is just saying, this is something we saw him say on camera in the villa, and he's just expressing that something happened and that Huda has some valid feelings. However, she wasn't necessarily bullied by Shelley and Alandria. And then he was in the Kiki podcast again with Taylor, and he was sitting there saying, you know, I would have gone off on Alandria, blah, 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 and clearly lying about like saving her and his experience with her. And again, the pushback to Nick not saying anything in that moment was, do you know what, there's not much he can say, because Taylor is just expressing his feelings about his experience. He's not saying that's how he feels now. He's just expressing how he felt at the time. And then it's okay, he's with Taylor. Taylor's his friend, despite the fact that Taylor played in his face. So the pushback to that was, well, he hasn't watched the show, so to him, he only knows what Taylor and Alandria have told him about their relationship. And so he probably just believes Taylor and thinks that we're all just like, you know, being mean to Taylor because whatever Taylor's reasoning was at the time. So we've seen this kind of pattern, and even with the unfollowing Huda thing, so people were mad about that. And then the pushback to that was, well, he's friends with Huda and blah, 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 blah. But then it gets to the reunion, and I hear him say, okay, so you're aware that the issue here was about racism. The issue between Alandria Huda and Shelley was about racism, and Huda not standing on her own word and bothered to actually make a statement like she promised she would, and yet you're still following the girl. Okay, fine. Now we find out that Taylor was playing in Alandria's face. In fact, we get verbal confirmation from one of the people who helped him. So now, is that good? Is that a reason enough for you guys to not be friends? But I guess in that moment, we wouldn't even know, because the reason he kind of backed off from Taylor and Alan was because they called him, like their words affected him. So for me, there's this pattern with Nick where it's like, there's this pattern with Nick, and especially for Alandria, where it's like she seems to be collateral damage, or her feelings are constantly dismissed when it comes to these people who have done active harm to her. And the reason they have been comfortable being harmful and doing these things against her is because they do not see her humanity. And the reason they don't see her humanity is because she's a dark-skinned Black woman. And so when he said, oh, let's just all move on, to me, there was a complete dismissal of that element of this issue. It's not about holding grudges. If he doesn't want to hold a grudge, that's great. If he wants to forgive him, that's great. Jesus tells us to forgive as many times as possible. But to completely dismiss the core reason why people actually have an issue, and the principle will always be this Black woman being collateral damage because people do not see her as worthy of the same humanity as other people. The fact that the people around her have refused to protect her and stand by her when other men have played in her face, and in this instance, Black men playing in her face. And we see the contrast between that and the season 6 girlies, who, as the moment Kenny played in, and of course it's a lot more serious, but the moment Kenny played in her face, the women had no questions. They stood by her. That man wasn't coming near her. There's not even a person who just says, oh, Kenny did that terrible thing, but he's a good guy, so we hang out. No, there's this flip-floppiness with the season 7 cast where they stand on nothing. And I think Nick, the reason he disappointed me so much is because to be with a dark-skinned Black woman who is this famous, who is receiving the kind of vitriol she's receiving, you have to be prepared to stand by her, and that includes separating yourself from the people who have played in her face, because it always blows back on her. So when he said that, to me, it was the absolute dismissal of the multiple intersectionalities that actually come together to create this problem. And that being 2 Black men played in that dark-skinned Black woman's face because they thought she was disposable. And then the people around her allowed them to continue being in her face because they were okay with what they did to her, because it wasn't directed at them. Shelley didn't have a problem with what Taylor did. It wasn't directed at her. Nick didn't have a problem with what Taylor did. It wasn't directed at him until it was. And so that for me is my issue. It's not about him forgiving. It's about this complete dismissal of the core issue, which will always be the principle that a dark-skinned Black woman's humanity is constantly stripped, her feelings, the need to protect her is constantly dismissed, and it's done so people can be friends. And the quality of these friendships, the quality of these people's characters aren't even good enough to be fighting for these friendships. But it's like her as a being, everything she's been through is constantly dismissed. She's constantly having to placate others. She's constantly expected to, like people on Twitter and other places expecting her to apologize to Shelley and all of these other people. She is constantly being attacked for being the victim of other people's nefarious actions. And he has just failed to protect her at every point publicly when it has come to other people for the sake of sitting on the fence. And for me, this time was like my absolute last straw. And I was just like, all right, I'm done. Because it's exhausting to watch, and then it's exhausting to hear people say that it's projection, that you just want to be in the relationship, all this. No, because the reason we went, Ace is a part of a larger issue that we have been seeing since June, which is how people play in dark-skinned women's faces. And that will always be the principle for me. And if anyone hasn't watched I think Little Miss Lexapro, she did an incredible video breaking that specific principle down after the Speedy and Ace interview, because everything they did was calculated, and it'd always be the fact that they feel comfortable playing in her face because she is a dark-skinned Black woman. And the idea that because he accepted an apology that the rest of us should be okay, and you're saying this to other Black women who truly understand how deep and disgusting what Alan and Taylor did, it just doesn't sit right with me. So that's me. Sorry for going on, but yeah.
No, you're okay. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much. I'm going to let them stay up here so y'all can continue to give gifts as you like. I want to say, I know I have like 100 plus comments since this comment, so I'm going to miss some of y'all's comments, but Beanie Beatty said, let's move on. Come to think of it, it's the same thing Alan said, Nick said to him that Alan had a problem about. Nachi asked, why are people thinking Olandria did not co-sign them moving on from Alan? Here's the thing. It's not that anybody is saying that she didn't, but we also don't have any information to say that she did. So we're not going to put in conjecture to make okay something that maybe is not okay, right? I think it's really dangerous when we get to a place of, I'm going to create something that maybe this happened in order to make this thing okay that makes me uncomfortable. Just sit in the discomfort. Just sit in the discomfort. Okay. Oh, well, feel uncomfortable about it, but we're not going to make up something that maybe this happened so that I can feel better about this thing. Just sit in the discomfort, babe. It's okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Be happy for life. They are still trying to put crumbs together outside of the villa. Cut it out. OMG. I feel like at this point, this is like the disconnect for me with some of the Nicolandrians, and I love y'all down. Y'all know that. If you don't know, I know I haven't said it on here, right? But if you don't know, I voted for Nick and Alandria once they coupled up, but I voted for Shelly and Ace every moment until they left the villa. I even voted for Taylor and Alandria in order to keep Alandria in the villa, right? So like, but that doesn't mean that I can't also observe behaviors that make me kind of pause and go, hold on, what is that about? Because I'm always going to be curious about motives. And I think that that's okay to do. You don't have to do like this. I'm not going to look at that so that I can continue to be a fan of this person. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can choose to be fans of them even while noticing those things. Daddy Marie, let me go ahead and help you because why are you obsessed with me? Oh, okay. Like you don't have to do that, okay? It is okay to notice things that feel uncomfortable and still choose to be a fan because let me, again, this is not direct harm. He has not come out and said something harmful directly about someone, okay? So you can disagree. You can disagree with what he did. You can be honest about seeing it and still choose to be his fan. You don't have to do one or the other, okay? We do nuance over here on this page, okay? Exactly, Leech Saint. Choose what you want to accept and support. You're going to have to determine your own lines, okay? And the reality is some of you might be, I love y'all. I really do. I love y'all down. And some of y'all might have to reconcile with the fact that he might push up against a line that feels like, no, I don't like that. And you're going to have to, but don't keep telling everybody else that they're putting lines there that are not there when the lines are there. You just don't want to see it, and that's okay, but you don't have to gaslight yourself. You can allow yourself to see it and still be his fan. That's okay. Everybody gets to make their own choices. Now, let me be very clear. Saying that you are not someone's fan does not mean that you need to be fucking ridiculous and attacking them and being harmful to them and doing all of this extra shit. Don't be weird. Don't be harmful, because let's keep it a buck. None of y'all motherfuckers would say that shit in his face. If you can't say it in his face, don't say it on his platforms. It's not that hard. Just disconnect from the content. That's it. Okay? That's it. And I know ain't nobody in my lives doing that, because y'all got good sense over here. Don't do that. Okay? I get that. Don't make harmful rumors or assumptions and rumors rather than observations. I get that. But I don't want y'all saying like, oh, Alandria must be okay with it. You don't know that. You have nothing to tell you that that is true. So don't say that. Okay? All that you know about Alandria is what she's told you, which is that she considers everybody's feelings before her own, that she's willing to be cordial for the sake of him being able to maintain relationships. That's what you know about her because she said it out of her mouth. You don't know anything else. Don't put this shit, don't start speculating about what she did because that's going to help you to feel better about continuing to support Nick. No, baby, just continue to support Nick with the discomfort. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay to say it feels weird, but I don't have enough information to say I'm not fucking with him. That's okay. That's it. That's all. Okay? And I would argue to the person that said there is some indication, Jim, I would say this. There is some indication that she's okay with everything, but yes, she's never said anything directly. I wouldn't even say she's okay with it. I would say she accepts it. They want to know what you feel about all of it. Tell me about what exactly. Lex, and that is totally your right to say he hasn't done anything to make you feel like you're looking at him sideways. I also just want us to hold, it is radical acceptance. It is. I also want us to hold that for some people, me included, there were some requests and there were some moves that make me go, huh, why'd you do that? That's weird. I'm going to keep watching. Because I never want y'all, even y'all, I never want y'all to, even with me, I never want you to be in a place where you're like, well, I just support rights and wrongs. I don't function like that. I don't want you functioning like that. What? I want you to be able to get more information in and to change your mind.
Okay, they don't know exactly what.
What you think about how Nick is moving? I don't think it's been fake, y'all. I think that would be, thank y'all so much for gifting my panelists. I love when y'all do that. I think saying that it is fake is like, that would just be, now we know people are going to come out with that. We know that, okay? People are going to try to, if they break up in 6 years, people are going to be like, see, I told you it was always PR.
They're going to think it's so bad.
They're going to say that, period. Because they want it to be that, right? Because some people are very, 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 very committed to wanting to see Olandria be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
They were so on that shit about her and Taylor. Oh, she's delusional. She's this, stand up. She's so they need it to be true about her and Nick too. So they have kids and grandkids, they can have kids and grandkids and they'll be like, see, we told y'all it was fake. It just took 35 years to come out. Some people just want that to be true. You have to be, if you over here in my space, we smart enough to know shit just changes and maybe some shit might change and that might mean they don't end up together and that's not gonna mean shit about what it was before. Okay? Exactly. If they, and I've said this before, if they broke up tomorrow, I would still be like, man, I'm so glad that she got to have the experience of someone that when she said she wanted a thing and she hoped things for herself, he spoke positively and spoke life over her and helped her to achieve things. I love that for her. I love that she got to turn her brain off and experience softness because if nothing else, Olandria has already told us, right, what she wants for herself. And so if nothing else, this relationship is an opportunity for her to say, oh, this actually can be real. This can exist. And I love that for her, no matter what the fuck happens between them later. And it doesn't discredit any of what they had. You know what I mean? Baby, you want to give your thoughts about what you think about how Nick is moving?
About the whole trying to get people to forget.
Do y'all want to know what he thinks about Nick, how Nick is moving with the Snapchat?
Snapchat though.
Maybe that's what the whole thing is about.
Oh, what you was telling me about the video and shit.
Chris only knows what I be telling him happened, y'all.
About the A situation, and so if it was me,
He's talking about what's a Snapchat? Like we ain't been talking about it for 3 hours. Y'all, he's so funny.
I'm in and out. Y'all commenting too much. Shit. I was trying to keep it with these damn comments. Y'all talking too much. So let me say, if it was me, I'm not fucking forgiving shit. I'm not. But not like that. But like it
like that.
It depends. Especially like. So I'm the type of person that for me, like you know what I'm saying, I could take some shit, right? But if you disrespecting my woman, then that's where I draw the line at like, no, I'm not forgiving that shit. There's nothing you can do or say, you know what I'm saying, unless you change the behavior for a long period of time, then maybe, you know. And I'm not feeling the whole private, I'm a you know, forgive you in private, or I'm gonna apologize in private, excuse me, and then Nick makes it public that he forgave him or that he apologized, I'm not fucking with that. If you're gonna disrespect me publicly, you need to apologize to me publicly. You need to go back on, you better call Speedy or fucking whoever you've been doing interviews with, you better call one of them niggas and say, hey, I need to do a public apology and go and let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Call whoever, somebody. I don't know who we doing interviews. Shit, I don't know. But call somebody and do an interview and apologize publicly, just the same way you was being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? That's just me though. And I agree with some of the takes of like the whole dancing to his song and shit. That shit's wild to me. I don't even. First of all, for me, if say they friends, if you my friend and you got some trash ass music, nigga, I'm gonna tell you your shit's trash. I'm not dancing to your music. No, I'm just being for real though, cause that's how you should. That's how if you my friend, come on, bro. I'm gonna let you know, like, hey, bro, this ain't it. This ain't. You gonna have to go back to the drawing board, my nigga. Let's go back in the studio. You need some help, like some. You know what I'm saying? Like let's do something, cause the nigga's music is trash. Let's start there, right? So why was it ever played in the club? And then why did he make a whole Snapchat and, you know what I'm saying, with the song and shit? And then he want the public to forgive him. I'm not rocking with that. I'm not forgiving no, you know what I'm saying? He can't put that on everybody else as I feel. He can't, just because you forgave him, I believe that he should have been like, hey y'all, I forgive him. Y'all don't have to, but I forgave him. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? That is some of my take.
Y'all, he's hilarious. Listen,
I just, you know, I ain't fucking with it. But I'm different than, but obviously I'm different than Nick, right? And I come from a different background. You know what I'm saying? A lot of, when it comes to respect and forgiveness and all that type of shit, a lot of my shit still comes from the life I lived before. So I just believe in moving differently, especially and then for me, because I seen this in the comments, somebody saying, well, this is his first time with a black woman, like blah blah blah, so then he should definitely move with a lot more caution, right? So for me, especially because the man that I am and I show up is as far as protecting black women, especially, you have to move with a lot more caution, especially when your woman told you the things that's being said to you or the things that's going on and how it affects me, right?
That's a good point.
How the things that's being, you know, it affects her, that they coming at him or whatever the fuck, right? So Nick, you need to move with caution. You need to move with caution too, because whatever you say, and if somebody says something back to you or whatever the fuck, it's gonna affect her. So I feel like, yeah, you need to move differently when you out in these streets, when you are on lives, when you're doing whatever the fuck that you're doing, because that backlash is coming straight at her. And especially because of all, like I don't think Nick is I don't think Nick is dumb. I don't think he's just out of it from everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? One, because of his privilege, and because if he knows the situation, he knows what's being said about him and all the shit. So yeah, you got to move differently. You know what I'm saying? And someone said something about like, why are you side-eyeing him? I think they were asking you this question, but I believe it's like, because it's like, I don't have to hate you for what you did. I don't have to, I'm not saying that like that. I don't think it was that egregious, but I am taking note. Like I think she said, I am like, okay, like what's this about? Like why are you choosing to move like this? That would be me too. Why are you choosing to move like this? Why is this your response? Why are you doing things like this? Especially after such, for me, like I said, the disrespect was loud and it was in the public.
KKW, so sir, have you never done anyone wrong and was sincerely apologetic, or are you a saint? KKW, don't come in here with that black and white thinking. We don't do that over here.
I'm a saint, motherfucker. There you have it.
Or if I have, I meant that shit.
Right.
So like,
and here's the thing, if
and
I'm
nobody's saying he needed to be a saint.
Right, and nobody said that. You're not listening. You're not listening. Like Gigi said, you should have been a stiff sock. But in any event, I will say this: if I've ever disrespected somebody publicly, and they moved and they said fuck me, whatever the case may be, and they moved how they moved, I would be cool with that. Do what you need to do. Because I've disrespected you the way that I've disrespected you. Yeah. So move how you need to move. You know what I'm saying? So since you want to know my business, I come from a gang culture background. So we definitely disrespect and we definitely move crazy, right? And if motherfuckers got at me because of the way that I moved, I'm cool with that. Because that's the name of the game. It is what it is. It is what it is. So no. And I never said I expected him to be a saint. What I said was niggas is side-eyeing him because of the way that he chose to move from this public disrespect. No. If somebody, I mean, that's just me. Just me. Let me just say for me. If somebody disrespects me out loud, I need you to apologize out loud. In these type of scenarios, right? For sure.
I know a perform hood nigga when I hear one.
I'm trying my best, man. Y'all not about to piss me off. I'm trying. I'm choosing my words wisely, and I'm trying to look, because I am reformed a little bit. Mostly, but please don't, please don't, because y'all don't know.
Come get your baddie's chain.
My bad.
So yeah, listen, y'all. Again, it doesn't have to be one or the other, okay? But I also typically, I mean, I'm also a person that when I don't like to have to take shit back that I said.
Exactly.
I don't like having to take shit back. So I definitely am very cautious about what I will say publicly. Not everybody knows my thoughts. And I've been that way since I was young. AF. Not everybody knows what I think because I don't want to have to take that shit back. I don't even always tell the person I'm into it with what I think because I don't want to have to take that shit back. Because what if I change my mind in 72 hours? You feel me? You feel me? So like, I have always moved with a lot of caution. And no one is saying that man can't grow. No one is saying that man can't learn. Oh, you want to know his, no, heck nah.
You know what?
Yes, I am a Pisces. Yes. So like I move with a lot of caution. Yeah, exactly. You're a Pisces just like Nick. We don't know anything about what's happening in his mind for real. What y'all see, what y'all hear is like a fraction of what's happening upstairs. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm an Aquarius moon, so that's even more like I don't feel shit. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Well, I'm gonna watch these comments be too much.
And somebody asked what I think they want to know what I think, but I'm not telling them. Somebody asked what Chris's sign is. He's a December Sagittarius. Yes, the live. Somebody asked me if I'm going to like have that last part. Everything is recorded. It will all go on YouTube. And somebody asked, do I think that public statements would make a difference? I think at this point that the Islanders have done a lot of damage. I think at this point there's going to be time, space, and action is what's going to be required. I will say that for me personally, oh, that's cute. Dating apps, how it shows up on shows like Love Island. Yeah, I think they've done a lot of damage already.
I never got to the game, so I guess we're gonna talk about that later.
No, yeah, we'll talk about it later. The damage, I'm just saying, I think that they've already done so much online that statements at this point would be like, people ain't really trying to probably hear it no more. Honestly. I think it's gonna have to be like people need to see action. Right? People don't want to hear anything else. Yeah, we'll do games later tonight. Nick might want to do him like your Chris just said, but Nick cannot. The corporation don't want it. Listen, that is very, very true. Pauline, I'm not going to read your comment out loud, but I will say people have inboxed me things. I just would never talk about that publicly. I would never do that. So maybe. Let's talk about predictions for tonight. I think Andreina might be safe. I think that she might be safe. I think it's going to be scary for Garby and Justine. Who was the other person in the bottom? Or Andrea, actually, I think might go in. And I think Kendall might go in. She might be, but some people are very angry that Justina's back. And I think that a lot of people are going to not vote for her simply because of that.
Yeah.
Like they feel like she doesn't deserve the money again.
Yeah, I see that happening.
But are they going to be able to duel? Like they're going to let everybody just do duel because we also voted. So the vote is going to count for something. We'll see. We'll see. And then I think Kendall will go.
I hope he does.
Whether or not they should do Beyond the Villa, I don't care to see a Beyond the Villa again I don't care to see season 7 Islanders on my TV again. Gonna be honest. Go make your money elsewhere. I don't really want to see you on TV. Just the two people with the least votes. Then I think it will be Andrea. But I know that my algorithm is biased toward the Black women. So I think Andrea, but I don't know what her support looks like. She also was top girl when they were doing like the votes. No, Pauline, it was actually super defamatory and very, very messy. So I would never say that out loud about those people. If it comes out, it comes out, but I would never do that. Andrea is annoying to me. I think Josh could go in. I'm hopeful. But I think that Josh will actually win the duel if he goes in. About a couple of people, Pauline. About a few different Islanders. Beyond the Villa was supposed to be a docuseries where they were like following them, living their lives. I think that would have been more fun to watch. So if they pivoted a little bit toward that, I would be on board for, I would rather still see season 6 doing it than season 7. So, okay, y'all. Okay, maybe Isaiah, maybe Kendall and Isaiah. Yep. Yeah, apparently Janae said they were supposed to be following, like documenting their life. I've never heard anything about the 27th date curse. Yeah, I don't want to see them anymore. Here's the thing. I actually do think that season 7 had likable characters before we started having to interact with them in real life. Oh, I still don't think I know what that means about this 27th date curse. Like, meaning that once they go on their 27th date, it's going to... Oh, June 27th, they friend zoned each other. July 27th, 404 released her video. And then 27th of... What's today? The 28th?
20, yeah.
Today's the 28th. The 27th, the podcast came out. And then the 27th, this happened. Was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was the 27th. So this happened. Is it cursed or is it revealing? I don't know, y'all. Do we consider it a curse for things to get more clear? Because that interview revealed Alan. 404 revealed herself. And yesterday revealed where Nick stands. It's revelatory. What's Alandria's birthday? May 29th. 28th of May. 29th of May. 29th of May. Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's all about perspective, right? I think it's revelatory. It's revealing, and that's it. And so, I mean, we'll see if something happens on the 27th again next month, October 27th. What will that reveal? Because I know that she's looking at apartments in LA. And people are, I want to say this too, and then I'm going to let y'all go. Alandria, I mean, not Alandria. When Nick and, what's that boy's name? Taylor were on that podcast with Kiki. And Nick was talking about how he loves LA and like wants to move to LA. I want y'all to remember he was like, because of the people that are here. So he definitely was very motivated in the beginning because of his relationship with Ace, and that changed. That changed, right? And so it would make sense to me that he would say, maybe he doesn't want to do that anymore. SKC, believe it or not, in my life, I can actually talk about whatever I want to talk about. A thought. So it would make sense if things changed. If like now he's like, oh, the same excitement that was there, it wasn't there before. But I know that Alandria hasn't said, like she said that she's going to. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, he also may not want to make it the responsibility of Alandria to tend to his mental health. He may feel like his parents are more equipped to help with that. It could be any number of things, right? Well, yeah, buying a home in LA is cray-cray, especially unless you buy it before next year for sure. Because the Olympics are coming or whatever. Yeah, y'all, we'll just see. We'll just see. Let it be revelatory. Let it be information. And then just choose to do whatever you want to do. But just let that be your decision. Your personal decision based on what you're seeing. It is very hard to find a place in Los Angeles, especially she's coming from Alabama and then Houston. LA is expensive as shit. As fuck. So, yeah, I'm sure it's a shock, if nothing else. So, So yeah, I think, listen, they'll figure it out, whether that's together or apart, and either one is okay. People get to change their minds. I feel like I did, Sade. No, Michelle, not that we know of. I think that her moving does make sense for her career, wherever she ends up. Obviously, I'm biased toward LA, but wherever they end up. Sade, the live will get posted on YouTube later. Okay, y'all. Love y'all down. Does she need to move from Houston though? I don't know that she needs to, especially if she stays really booked and busy, but I can understand why it might feel easier to live there. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes. Don't spread LA propaganda. Listen, don't hate on my city. What's the rent like in LA? Depending on where you are, extremely expensive. I appreciate our community so much as well. If you like, we were like in Manhattan Beach kind of area. My mortgage is like a studio apartment there. So it depends on where you live. Oh, thank you so much, Shay. But it is very, very, very expensive, like $3,000 plus easily, depending on where you are, and based on where they might want to stay. It would probably be very, very expensive. And that's true too, Kiki. That is definitely an option to live somewhere else, but to work there. The thing about it would be is like, then you would probably have to put into all of your contracts when you're working that they pay for your housing. Otherwise, you're just still paying for housing anyway when you're there. So you may as well just have a house there. You know what I mean? So it would have to be some conditions every time she went to work. Not that she can't make them, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, I love Los Angeles, but I'm also from there, so I'm biased. Yeah, in Texas, she's definitely paying way different prices than what she would pay in LA. Okay, love y'all down. I will be back likely after games, so probably around 8 o'clock. Mountain time. So I will see y'all then. We will talk about games. Yeah, I know, Erica. I lived in Killeen, Texas for a while, and for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage, backyard, 2 living rooms, we paid less than $1,300 a month. That's not flying in LA.
And like 3 full baths too.
Yeah. Yeah. So you ain't paying them prices in LA, baby.
Hell no.
You ain't paying them prices. Mm-mm. So it would definitely be a shocker for her. Listen, Texas is cheap. I say all the time, Erica, Texas is cheap, but then you live in Texas. And that's a whole nother thing. Oh, thank you so much, American Dream. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, love y'all down. I will see y'all later.